let me know.
I'm good.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
What is happening tonight for all you crazy people out there? We are back for Snake Talk. It's been a minute. Jay and myself here hanging out. It's been a minute since we've been alone.
I know. I feel like we've never had a moment to ourselves.
I know. There's been lots of guests. There's been lots of insanity, and it's been good. We'll talk a little bit about the insanity that has ensued over the last several days really, it seems like it's been
since the beginning of the year, pretty much.
It seems like since the beginning of the year, you know. Yeah. I think this is how we can tell that, like, we're turning the corner with COVID, is that, like, really we didn't have much company.
For like a year and a half, 2 years.
For a couple years. We'd have the occasional people come, but not a lot. And now it's just like non-stop company. I mean, just like, and I'm not complaining, but literally, like, it seems like as soon as one set of people leaves, another set of people come, and it's cool. Don't get me wrong, it's cool. And we'll talk a little bit about, you know, the camaraderie, and you know, I even want to talk a little bit about how things used to be in the reptile hobby, and how it was. As a matter of fact, today I had company, a friend of mine, Jared Carr, from Columbus, Ohio, who I knew literally early on in my reptile career.
Oh, he was a reptile guy too, huh?
Yeah, he was a reptile guy. Cool. Him and his brother, unfortunately, his brother passed away, you know, maybe 12, 15 years ago. And Jason, his brother, were really good friends of mine as well. They were both very good friends of mine. So, you know, it was a different world back then. So we'll talk a little bit about that different world, how the world is today, with the camaraderie as well as what's going on here. Obviously, because I'm solo with Jay, obviously solo plus one means that we need you to steer the ship, guys. So make sure you super chat us, ask us any questions you want. We're going to talk whatever you guys want. I'll talk about what I'm talking about, but we like when you guys actually steer the ship and
have some input in the conversation going on.
So I appreciate all you guys in the chat room, and I know people are loading on now, so I'm sure over the next few minutes here we'll get more and more people that are here, and I appreciate you guys. Your support means the world to me, and seriously, I can't thank you enough for it. So I think going back to start with, again, my friend Jared was here today, and it brought back a lot of memories of those early days. You got to remember, like, back in the, you know, say early 90s, you know, really I got started in the late 80s, which makes me feel so old. But in the early 90s is when the reptile hobby really kind of exploded. You started having, like, you know, consistent monthly reptile shows like Columbus, Ohio. Now that is the all animal show in Chicago, was actually the Lee Watson show at the time back in that day. And it just became, then you started to have this group of people that became family almost, because you either, a lot of times you would, let's say people from Michigan would travel with me down to
like
these
a caravan
shows.
Almost, right?
We'd either go in the same van or we would caravan down or whatever the case is. And we always, like, did the show, and then we hung out after. We'd always go out to dinner. We'd always whatever. And it was kind of funny because I lived at home. Obviously, I was young. I was, you know, 17 years old, 16, 17 years old. So I lived at home with my mom and had my snakes in the basement, right? Yeah. But I had this, like, out of all my friends, I had the coolest, like, basement hangout place, right?
Heck yeah,
you know, so, like, it was like all my friends would oftentimes come over and hang out in my reptile room. You know, we'd literally sit around for hours every single night. I mean, like, literally 7 days a week. We would, well, actually, I should take that back. Really, usually, you know, in the beginning it was like that, but then
once it becomes business,
once it became right. What I mean by that is that then we became friends with Mark Bell.
Okay.
And then, like, every Friday and Saturday, the thing was all our friends that hung out in my reptile room would go hang out at Mark and Kim's place because, of course, they had a much better place than we did. Not only was it the fact that they didn't have a mom upstairs, you know, like I'd have to, you know, although I tell you, we were pretty raucous. You know, my mom really let me get away with a lot back then.
That's awesome.
But we would go over to Mark and Kim's that had their own house, and then they also had a much larger reptile collection. So we would go over there and look at reptiles and hang out. And that was always every Friday and Saturday. And then during the week, my friends, probably 4 out of the other 5 days would come to my house and hang out. And it was just a really cool camaraderie back then. And there was actually something that we talked about doing at the Reptarium. And I think we're getting close to maybe doing this now if COVID continues to go the way it's going, and it feels like the world is more normal than ever and stuff like that. is starting to do like Herp Society meetings in the Reptarium. There isn't a Herp Society in Michigan anymore, but back when I was a kid, there was actually two. There was the Michigan Herpetological Society, and then there was the Great Lakes Herpetological Society. So the Great Lakes was close to us, and then the Michigan was actually in Lansing, which is about an hour and a half away. And we would go to both those meetings. You know, there was monthly meetings, and they'd have speakers, and you'd go, and it was just kind of a cool night. People would bring their animals in to show off. Maybe sometimes if they had something for sale, they would bring it along, and you might buy it and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, the point is that, we may do that at the Reptarium. We may spark up a herpetological society.
I think that'd be
maybe
awesome.
Southeast Michigan Herpetological Society or something like that, and just have meetings in our break room and stuff like that. So just food for thought. So let's hit a couple supers. I know we just got a couple.
Yeah,
so we'll just jump right into them because again, I'm going to need your guys'
assistance.
Steering of the ship tonight.
Becky says, "Hey guys," and throws some lizard love and snake love.
Hey gal,
how you doing? I hope everything's
good up there.
I hope it's not as cold as it is here, man. This winter's got to go, dude.
Yeah, what was interesting is it's been relatively mild.
Now it feels worse.
And then out of nowhere. Yesterday we woke up to just like an inch of snow, but when you get to the point where you're feeling like spring, like the sun is in that different spot in the sky.
That's
you
right.
know what I mean?
It feels like spring every day, but then it's. I mean, dude, I was walking dogs before, and I literally yelled, "I'm like, I'd rather clean poop. Let's go home, dude."
Yeah, it was
too cold.
Yesterday was a snow, kind of gloomy, wintry field day, so which is kind of a bummer. Today was felt like spring, like you said, because the sun's kind of high in the sky and it's feeling like spring. But it was like 27 degrees, and I think this morning when I left for work, it was like 15 degrees.
And the wind feels like 6. Yeah. I mean, easy.
But tomorrow is supposed to be back in the mid 40s, and then we're supposed to be almost 70 degrees by the middle of the week. So, so I think that spring hopefully will have sprung here. That's for sure.
Tiffany says, so I've asked about what you wouldn't buy from a thrift store, but would you eat food out of donations? I have, and I haven't died yet.
Eat food.
So, would you eat from food from a food pantry? I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
Of course, why not?
If it was like a food pantry, I mean, we did it. Listen, guys.
We all been there.
When I was in 21, 22 years old, when we had my daughter Jade, we were really broke. I mean, we had a reptile collection. We were, making money in the reptile collection, but every dollar was going back into growing the business or whatever. And we were really broke. And we were on, it was called WIC. So we were on WIC
Women
for
with infant children.
Yeah. And we were literally on that for a year and a half. And I tell this story often where I remember, and I worked at a pet shop at the time, and I remember I got paid on Friday, like most people do, and I remember Thursday not having enough money to buy milk.
Yeah.
And my daughter was Jade was a year and a half old, so she was drinking, milk, cereal, that type of thing. And literally I didn't have the $1.50 to buy a gallon of milk till the next day.
Yeah.
I mean, so, people don't realize I've been through it all. You know what I mean? I've been broke as shit. I've been
started from the bottom.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I came from a very low income family, single mom household. And, I mean, it's but yeah, 100%, man. I appreciate, and that's one of the reasons why I never bitch about taxes in that sense. I think that there should be more social programs when it comes to people that are struggling.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think it should be a crutch where people are on welfare for their generations.
Almost a rehabilitation.
Yeah, but I mean, it worked for us for a year and a half. We were struggling. And in those programs really helped us a tremendous amount to get through.
And probably helped you get to the point where you're at now, or you would have to put money into other things.
Yeah, and I'm not embarrassed about that at all.
way.
I mean, I think it's great. So yeah, if that's what you mean, absolutely. And still to this day, I would. I mean,
hell yeah.
Shit, if someone brought me a pizza right now, I would eat it.
And it doesn't. I wouldn't have to know you.
I wouldn't even have to. If you just showed up in the door right now with a pizza,
could be cold.
Yeah, and said, "Hey, I got a donation of pizza for you." I would be like, "I love you. I'll eat your pizza."
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. I appreciate that. LD said, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah.
LD Music says, love you all. Keep up the good work. Been watching since day one, and I'll always support you. Got to come out there to visit you guys at the Reptarium.
I hope you do, man. I hope you do. It's things are bumping at the Reptarium these days.
Yeah, right.
It's crazy. I mean, it's again, life is feeling more normal all around. I mean, I was just upstairs a minute ago, and everyone, it's just packed with people. Nobody has masks on anymore.
It's nice to
just
see it
feels
feel
normal,
right.
and then we did our first in-person school event in like 2 years, like 2.5 weeks ago or something like that. Since we've been doing school events ever since, and we've been getting school events booked like crazy from here till the end of the year. So it went from like no school events to like
every school.
Yesterday, Lori, not just schools, but tours, birthday parties, events. Yesterday, we opened at 4:00, and Lori was at the gift shop answering the phone. At 6:30, I had to leave to go pick up Noah from the airport, and I'll tell you why Noah was out at the airport, but he was out in L.A., and literally in that 2.5 hour window. Now you got to remember, this is most of our tours and events get booked during the week, during the normal hours. Literally in that 2.5 hour period, she booked 5 events, 5 tours, birthday parties, or school events.
That's insane.
And then I left for the airport. But it's just crazy how busy like the world is just seeming to pop all of a sudden. Like I think people are just finally like, all right, it's over. Let's
Time to go.
Let's go have some fun. But so Noah was actually in L.A. I got a call. A week on Monday of last week. I think it was Monday of last week, maybe Tuesday of last week. I'm not sure. So I got a call from you guys may know the FaZe clan. It's the #1 e-gaming clan in the world. And so one of the guys, FaZe Adapt, who's a friend of mine, called me up and said, "Hey, what are you doing Thursday? We've got this film thing, and we want to shoot a What's in the Box challenge." I've filmed What's in the Box challenge, I think, twice with FaZe in the past. So they called me up, and I said, "Well, unfortunately, I was happy, but I had Savannah, Danny from Gatorland, Chris Gillette, and Gabby Nicole from South Florida. They were all coming in. Now, I had canceled on them 2 weeks prior.
Yeah.
So they were coming in 2 weeks before. They had plane tickets. Everything was booked. And I got the call from MrBeast that I had to do a MrBeast video, which, by the way, will be out this coming Saturday.
Week from today.
I can't tell you anything about it because I can't talk about what we filmed, but I can tell you that I will be in the video, and the video will be out
on
next Saturday. And you guys, it's pretty crazy.
You gotta watch it.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty crazy. So anyway, so obviously when MrBeast contacted me, I called Savannah and Chris and Gabby and everyone. I said, "Hey, is there a way we can push it a couple weeks? I've got to do this shoot, and it's really important." And they were great. And they were like, "Of course, we'll reschedule. No problem."
Right.
So they rescheduled. So the last thing I was going to do was reschedule again.
Yeah.
But this time it was a tough one because, okay, do you guys remember, for those of you guys that have been, watch every week or whenever we do podcasts, you may remember literally, what's the title? Can you punch up our YouTube to checking in?
Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Check up, just punch up YouTube checking in podcast. And I just want to go to literally, you guys are going to see this. This is no bullshit.
This is how we do it, though.
Yeah.
This is how we do it.
So just go to video.
I got you, brother.
Yeah.
We'll go
and then
down to
where are we at here? I know he's in the title. There it is, right there to the right. It says 6 degrees to Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
And that was less than a month ago.
Yep.
That was less than a month ago. 6 degrees to Snoop Dogg. And literally, the phone call that I got from FaZe was, "We're doing a What's in the Box challenge with Snoop Dogg." And so what basically happened in that podcast was we were trying to say, like, "Hey, what's the 6 degrees to get to Snoop Dogg? Because we want to meet Snoop Dogg." And all of a sudden, I get this call like, "Hey, we need you in a video to do Snoop Dogg."
That's ridiculous.
And I was like, "Well, I can't cancel on these guys again."
Snoop.
Yeah, but what am I going to do? So I literally, I talked to Alex. I said, "Hey, if I sent Noah out, my son, can he do the video?" And I'll arrange. Josh from SB Reptiles and Nick the Wrangler were willing to help out with some animals, and sure enough they did. And so I flew Noah out there, and this week he did a video with Snoop Dogg and FaZe with the What's in the Box challenge, which I'm not sure when it's going to be out. I hear the turnaround's pretty quick. I've literally shot with FaZe before. I don't know if I ever told you this.
No, you haven't. Yeah.
One time and they were at the time they were in like Laguna Beach. Now they I don't even know where they're at. We actually shot this one at Snoop's compound.
Yeah.
Which was right by LAX, which was perfect because that's where Noah was staying. But so Laguna Beach was, a good hour and a half. But I've literally shot a video with FaZe, got in my car, drove back to LA, got back to my hotel at 2:00 2 hours later, and the video's up.
No way, dude.
Literally, the
Love
video
that.
is up. And I'm like, what? I mean, that's how quick their turnarounds. Now they have a much more professional system now, so I don't know. I can't imagine the video's not going to, it'll be out, I think, this week, if not, within the next 4 or 5 days, it'll be out. But so Noah got a chance to go out and meet Snoop and do the video, so it's pretty cool.
Rachel says, I like it when you have company, but appreciate a good snake talk too. Now I have a chance to harass you about Hognose questions, if that's cool.
Of course.
Keep them coming.
Yeah, I love talking about that. And like I said, I mean, this is what it's about. Listen, I love company and I love learning about company. And I think it's really fun. This last podcast we had with Savannah and Danny and Chris and Gabby was really fun. But at the same time, it's nice to have kind of me and Jay, just, Jay and I just talking about just, whatever comes to mind and so on like that.
And chill with you guys.
And chill with you guys. And again, answer your questions and all that type of stuff. So it's really cool. But ask all the Hognose questions you want. I love them.
Brad says, well, I caught my second and third snake ever today. First ever Western yellow-bellied racer. I'm from California in Santa Cruz.
Okay, yeah.
Until summer, originally from San Diego.
Okay.
Thank you for encouraging me to find my dreams, passion, and pursue them.
Well, that's awesome, Brad. And it's cool because Santa Cruz is pretty north, I mean, it's up by San Francisco, in that area, San Jose, San Francisco area. So I would expect it to have been pretty cool. So it's probably like a nice spring day there. Because it does get pretty cool in the wintertime. So awesome that snakes are out there. And I can't wait to go herping. We've been talking about doing some herping.
Yes, we have. Just today, too.
Just today we're talking about doing some herping videos this year. So just got to figure out with the new format what that means. You know what I mean? It's got
to be a little bit of a reason for it.
Yeah, it's not as easy as it used to be. Like, hey, we just go out and hang out. Now we try to come up with story arcs that make sense to the new style.
Daniel says, you'll ever get ring snakes for BHB, or will you ever get ring snakes?
No, I don't think so. They're really cool and they're awesome, but they're not easy to keep in captivity. I mean, they're very small.
They're called ring snakes?
Yeah, ringneck snake, I'm sure is what she was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're very beautiful. You'll see. They're beautiful, beautiful snakes.
Oh, wow.
But that's an adult.
That small one in the hand?
That's an adult right there.
Way.
And you can see, like...
What do they come out like as babies?
Well, you can see, like, some of the smaller pictures. I mean, that's pretty similar to the size of a baby, So, I mean, that's good. I mean, look at that. What
does it eat?
I mean, and that's the thing. They eat a lot of grubs and stuff like that. They don't eat like rodents or fish or worms like garters can. So ringnecks are very. I don't know anybody that works with them captive.
Right.
I mean, that's not to say that somebody isn't. I'm sure somebody out there. I just have never heard of anybody that has worked with.
Is that a colubrid?
Snakes. It is a colubrid. Yeah, it's like a garter snake. It's very similar to a garter snake. And we have ringneck snakes here in Michigan even.
Oh, wow.
Ringneck snakes are pretty common across the entire country. Different flavors. Out west the ringnecks are obviously way prettier than the ones here. But yeah, I unfortunately they're tough. They're not an easy animal.
Tiffany says, it's stranger stuff they donate. We don't take food, so never know how old it is or how long it's sat. Waiting to see parties full of Reptile Army merch.
Yeah, I'd love that too. Yeah, so you're talking about just like strangers that are like, hey, have some food.
My mama told me something about this.
It would be harder to do that. Listen, we get that sometimes. Now, when we get a package, and we do that, we do get packages from people that send us like a bunch of snacks from different countries, and that's different because it's all bagged. But every now and then we'll get like, someone will send us like homemade
like tomato sauce.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah. And it's the same thing. We're always like, man, we really want to try this, but like, how do we know they're not arsenic in there? Or
you
who
never
knows,
know.
And so like when someone just sends us like a jar of something, it's
hard
really
pressed to eat it.
It's really hard to get the gumption up to say, yeah, it's time to bite the bullet.
But it'd be one thing if it was something like spectacular in the world, but it's like, if it's tomato sauce, listen.
But it's always tough because someone like put their heart energy into making this homemade something for you,
Of course.
But I mean, remember, I think it was Mac actually sent me like the CBD oil that literally like didn't even have a label on it.
Yeah, who knows? It could literally just
I'm like,
be
what is it?
antifreeze.
What is it? And we didn't know Mac at the time. So, I mean, we knew him, I think, through the podcast, but I didn't know it came from Mac.
Yeah.
And I don't do drugs anyway, so I don't do, I can't even do CBD, unfortunately.
I'm sure you could.
I mean, I probably could, but I don't.
CBD is pretty much iced tea.
Yeah, but, it's, but yeah, I mean, we get a lot of stuff like that we unfortunately have to not,
consume. My mama told me not to take any candy from strangers.
Yeah. But if you want to send me something that's in a package,
we'll eat the heck out of it.
I'm into it, man. I'm into it.
Brother Clint throwing some love. Sweet. I don't see a super chat for you, Clint. So if you meant to type something, just put it down below and I'll find it.
1, 2, 3, man.
I know.
It's
spooky.
There's some.
We miss you. Hope you're coming soon.
There's some significance to. I think he actually had a date. If I'm not mistaken, of when he was coming. I can't remember what it is.
I thought you meant he went out on a date with a girl. I was like, how'd it go?
No. He sent me a date that he wanted to come to the podcast, and I'm pretty sure I have it on the calendar upstairs. But I've been we talked about this just before we came on the air, there's just been so much going on in my life between Animal Con and guests and trying to still run everything and getting colubrids out of brumation now.
Working way harder on all our video stuff.
Yeah, now I mean,
the filming alone is like 3 times the...
And the pre-production's a lot harder, too.
Exactly,
I mean, we're like not just like, all right, let's go do something. We're literally, sometimes we talk about it for an hour or two before we even get filming, whereas before we were already almost done filming by the time an hour or two went by. So it's, and then the filming itself can sometimes be a lot more intensive. So yeah, I mean, it's
we've ramped up everything.
We've ramped up everything in my life, so it's a little bit difficult. But Brother Clint did say he was coming by sometime.
Oh, great to hear that. Brad says, any knowledge for wild crocodile monitor wild population numbers?
No, we've talked about that before. There hasn't been very many studies on the croc monitors in Indo or New Guinea, PNG, but I can't imagine it's good. You know what I mean? It's like, most of those animals down there are have a pretty selective, area they live in, and humans are encroaching on those areas. So do I think that they're like threatened or something like that? No, but I'm sure that they're like a Appendix 2 endangered, something on that lines. I would imagine they're CITES Appendix 2. I mean, if I were going to guess, I'm almost positive that's what the classification would be. And of course, it goes from Appendix 2, which means that you can still import and export them with a CITES permit. And then it goes to Appendix 1, which is almost impossible to get permits to do. But unfortunately, a lot of animals, by the time they've reached Appendix 1, are pretty much almost
eradicated in the wild.
Functionally extinct. So, but I mean, I'm not a big fan of croc monitors coming out of the wild.
Right, I agree.
I mean, I don't have a major problem with like baby croc monitors coming out of Indo, if they're captive hatch, like gravid female lays eggs, something on that lines, farmed animals. Because, I mean, very few people hardly anyone has had success breeding them. A couple, only, Tom Crutchfield hatched 1 or 2.
And then one other place, right?
Yeah, black dragons out in or toothless reptiles, I think is actually called.
Yes,
they hatched a couple clutches. And then he got rid of all his lizards. That was a weird deal.
Yeah.
He built this entire big building to breed croc monitors, and he was breeding black dragons. And then he, bred the black dragons for a bunch, and then I think he got two or 3 clutches of croc monitors, and then literally sold every single animal he had.
Wonder why?
And tore the building. Yeah, I mean, the building's there, but tore all the cages out.
Wow.
And I think for him, from what I understand, I think he did like construction or something like that. And I think for him, it was just like, I want to try to see if I could do it more than like the money side of it, which I think is great. I mean,
of course,
good for him, because most people would be like, oh shit, if I can get $10,000 a piece for baby captive born and bred croc monitors, which is probably what you could get right now.
Easy.
People would probably be like, oh man, I'm going to keep rolling this thing until they stop laying eggs, But he bred them a couple times, 2-3 clutches, and was like,
able to do it.
Like I'm good.
Crushed it.
I'm done. I've achieved it. And he did a bunch of papers and stuff like that. So I don't know him personally, but I've heard very good things about him as a person. So good for you, man. But it's so my point is that coming out of the wild captive babies, I don't have a major issue with.
But adults,
they don't do well. They're mean as shit. They're very, they're scary animals, you know. Dude. And it's not, I mean, these animals that are cruising around in trees and running through the jungle their whole life, and then most of them are getting thrown into a 2-foot high cage.
Yeah.
That's not what that should happen, you know. I mean, there's no benefit to that at all.
I agree.
So I'm opposed to that 100%.
Kelly says, hi, Brian and Jay. Just wanted to say we absolutely love you guys. Our 2 new leopard geckos that we got from you, our 3rd and 4th from BHP, arrived in Wichita on Thursday and are doing so good and spoiled already.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for continuing to support us, and I'm so glad that you got some geckos from us. So awesome, and come visit us sometime.
Jason from Morph Mixology says, hey dudes, how was the Florida round? We are actually talking about moving that direction. No way, what?
That would be crazy going from Montana to Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, listen, we had a good time in Florida. We you know, it was good. It was you know, again, we were there to shoot something with another YouTuber, and so we kind of were under their schedule, you know. So like it
different Florida trip.
It was a different Florida trip because we couldn't just wander. I mean, obviously visiting Tiki's geckos, you know, those guys, you know, David and Manny are super cool guys.
Yeah, they're great.
Have a really cool collection of animals. And then obviously you got to see Ron St. Pierre's place, which was so super dope. Spent some time with Crocodile Kyle, which was really fun. You know, see some stuff. As a matter of fact, I think we're heading back down to shoot some stuff with those guys here shortly. More on that later.
Dun, dun.
And then obviously went to Ty Park's place and volunteered for the day over there. So that was a lot of fun and a lot of work.
Yeah, we really put you to work
sweltering heat. And then spent time at Gatorland, which was always a good time. And as a matter of fact, I've got to go back down to Florida next week.
Yeah.
Or not next week, the following week. Just for 2 days of just flying in and flying out because it's for Animal Con. We're going to be at the Animal Con convention center where we're doing it, the resort that we're doing it at, and I just need to kind of walk through some things, make sure, you know, we have a flow of the place. So we're just literally flying back down, but I might drop in. I told, because Savannah and Danny from Gatorland were just up here, so I told them I might stop in and spend a little time at Gatorland.
Hell yeah,
because it's impossible for me to go to Florida. I mean, literally where we'll be staying will be, you know,
a few blocks away,
5 miles from Gatorland. So
Gatorland is like another home, man.
Yeah, so I love it there. So I'll probably,
except that Nick guy.
Yeah, that Nick guy.
Nick, dude, sucks.
Nick the
dude.
dick.
Yeah.
No. Nick's a great guy. Yeah, no, Nick's a great guy.
Do you think Jason's moving to Florida? You think plasma like prices are better in Florida?
Yeah, I think he can get,
because you think all the old people, they probably need more plasma.
Yeah.
The demand's there.
Yeah. He probably doesn't even need to work.
Yeah, smart move, Jason. I feel it.
It's good, but that's wild, man. That's cool.
Crazy
and listen,
move.
you know, I've thought about, you know, like warm weather a lot. I would never, you know, and we obviously had Florida people with us this whole week, and I said, you know, I would never live in Florida ever. You know, I like visiting.
I love it.
But I would never live there. You know, if I was going to move, I think if I was going to move, I'd probably move either to Texas or Arizona.
Yeah.
But again, with the Reptarium, I'm pretty rooted here. You know, I don't see myself, you know, maybe one day I'll have a place out there that I can go, you know.
Oh, you mean in Portal?
In Portal, Arizona or something like that.
You have to just for principle, right?
Yeah, I do have to get, but I hear prices are high out there now.
Arizona's good.
Darn retired reptile people are jacking the prices up on me over there in Portal.
Damn, dude.
But yeah, it's got to get out there. Who just, oh yeah, I was just talking to Nick the Wrangler about coming out to Arizona.
Yeah, there was somebody else too said it the other day. Tucson. We were on the podcast. They're like, you ever come to Tucson? Come do this, right?
Yeah. So we got to get out there. And ironically enough, that's where Nick said is the best herping is in the Tucson area. So so I think we'll get out there. I love Arizona. Anytime I have an excuse to go out there, I go because I love it so much.
Berm Donor.
What's up, dude?
He says, I already missed the Reptarium and all of you guys. My niece wants to have her birthday there now. Can't wait for the return trip. Sorry. Thank you again for an unforgettable weekend. It was great. It was great having you.
Yeah, it was great having. I mean, what a good dude, man. Solid. You know, Ira's great too, and just everyone that was hanging out with us, Scott and everyone. It was super dope.
Good company.
A good company, good guest on the podcast. If you guys haven't listened to that podcast, it's last Saturday's podcast.
He was so good, he broke it.
Did he? Oh, that's
broke
right.
The podcast.
It was ironic because we've been doing the podcast in this new podcast room for I don't know, a year and a half. Probably a year. I don't know how long it is. We haven't had one problem with our podcast. Prior to this, when we were like breaking down and setting up, we'd always have problems. But once we got into this room, it was pretty much been smooth.
It's been turnkey.
Ever since. And you just flick the switch, bam, we're on. And Berm Donor came in and literally
shut the internet down.
Yeah, we literally launched and it wouldn't work, and we had to kill the feed after 5 minutes and restart the entire thing, and then it worked out fine, and then it was working. So, and he said that was just his luck, that he just seems to break everything and that things go that way. But I don't know if that's true. But
but it was probably Russia.
It was probably Russia. But speaking of Russia, it was crazy about that TikTok crazy thing going.
Which one? There's so much. Which one?
No, I was talking about how TikTok was down.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, does anyone know what happened? Did you hear anything about that?
I haven't heard a thing.
Yeah, it's out of China, so we're not going to hear anything out of China about what happened. But
yeah, unless you start digging a hole.
But yeah, what happened was 2 days ago. Noah was, of course, helps with TikTok with me, and I woke up at I wake up usually about 6:30 or so. I woke up to 6:30, looked at my phone, and the first text was, "Hey," not from Noah, just from someone else. "Hey, it looks like your Twitter account got hacked. You have no videos." And so I went onto my TikTok. I always say Twitter.
I know.
Went onto my TikTok account, and it says no videos yet. And I'm like, what? I mean, we got, almost 3.5 million followers. We've got all these videos with, 60 million likes or something like that. And I'm thinking oh my God, someone hacked me and deleted all my videos. And so it was funny because I text my manager that's in LA. So it's 3:30 in the morning his time. And I'm like, bro, my TikTok must have got hacked. Can you help me out? What am I going to do? And of course he didn't respond immediately. But within 5 or so minutes, I realized that everybody it wasn't site wide. It was certain users. I was obviously one of them. Yep. Couldn't see any videos.
Yeah. And then you asked me. Some reason I couldn't either.
Right. And it only lasted a couple hours, but it definitely gives you some shock.
Yeah, because I came in and I was probably at home watching TikToks 20 minutes before I got here. And then you're like, hey, is your TikTok messed up? I'm like, no, I was just watching it. And then I looked, I'm like, oh shit, it is messed up. What's going on?
Yeah, it was wild.
Crazy.
So, but they fixed it pretty quick, like the Chinese do, and
they do. They are quick.
It's better than when Facebook was down. Remember, I was
down for a week.
It was down for a while.
Yeah,
and even YouTube has had 2 short outages in the last couple years that have been 8 or 10 hours plus.
And not 30 seconds.
Yeah, TikTok got fixed like that. Man, they're on top of it. But yeah, it was a little bit of a scare.
Rachel said, sick. Is a hognose an okay first snake? Can they live in a bioactive enclosure? And about how long will they eat pinkies for? Trying to figure it all out.
That's good. So, yes, I think it can be a really great first snake. Though what I do suggest is obviously get captive bred. Not that there's a lot of wild caught, but there are some. So get a good captive bred, well-started baby.
Yes.
So you don't want a baby. You want one that's been feeding for maybe 6, 8, 10 meals. Once you get that, bang, you're on it. They're going to eat pinkies. They'll eat pinkies, depending on males will eat pinkies for a lot longer than females. Right. Females grow much quicker. But, I mean, both are going to eat pinkies for probably 3-4 months, and then they're going to graduate to fuzzies, and then of course most males don't get much past fuzzies or maybe small mice.
Wow, that's crazy.
Whereas females will obviously eat 2 or 3 adult mice a week, so big difference. But and then as far as the bioactive, yeah, certainly you can do bioactive if you want. It won't hurt them whatsoever. Was there anything else in that?
That was it. You hit all 3.
Okay, so cool. So yeah,
and it's a good first snake. So
it is a really good first snake for sure.
Chris said, you always joke about the building being haunted. Would you ever try to have a ghost adventure on the podcast and vlog animal challenge?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to if at all. If you're talking about the ghost adventures,
yeah.
Zach Bagans and the
Zach of Bagans.
I've been listen. We joke about them a lot, but I've been a fan of their show since it started. As a matter of fact,
my mom too.
Yeah, so like a lot of people don't even know this, but this is how much of a fan of what they do I am, is that they were film school students, and they did a documentary called Ghost Adventures. It wasn't a series. It was actually a documentary film that was for their film. So they were film people, and they came together. It was Aaron, Zach, and God, I can't remember his name, the guy that used to be on the show. You
have the two that I know, Aaron and Zach.
Yeah, there was a Nick Goff. Nick Goff was the third, and they did the first, I don't know, 15 seasons of Ghost Adventures with those three people alone. So before the other people, Jay Wasley and Billy came onto the crew. But what happened was they did this mine in Nevada. Not mine, but this mining town in Nevada, and they caught some really phenomenal, like a board flew across the room.
Crazy.
I mean, stuff that really, it was, number one, it was long enough ago where the technology wasn't easy to fake it.
Right.
And it was, their reactions were very
genuine,
and so Sci-Fi, they're on the Travel Channel now, which is owned by Discovery Channel, Discovery Communications. They did the hour was on Sci-Fi, and then they tried to pitch a series, and Sci-Fi turned them down.
Wow, really?
And then ultimately Travel Channel picked up the series, and they've been on Travel Channel now for, I think they're on like their 23rd season or something like that.
So many damn ghosts out there.
Yeah. So, but yeah, now it's like we joke around because obviously, like, they could find a ghost in a sandwich bag, But they're entertaining, and
they're very entertaining.
They're fun, and so interestingly enough, I did have a few emails back and forth with Jay Wasley.
No way.
So what happened was Jay was the sound guy, but not in the videos. Right. He wasn't in Ghost Adventures. And he had a small Twitter following, and it was Super Bowl Sunday. And he was like, hey, the first 10 people that tweet me who's going to win the Super Bowl, I'll send you a package of a bunch of memorabilia. And so I tweeted him like, what, Green Bay,
Yeah.
I think it was literally Green Bay. And Green Bay won. And so he reached out to me and he's like, hey, let me get your email and address and I'll send you some stuff. So we literally emailed back and forth. And at one point we were supposed to have a phone call about him potentially, like, I was like, hey man, I'd love to do some stuff. You're in that world, video. Cause he wasn't just a sound guy. He also had his own production company. I think it was called like Sun Something Productions. And so I was like, hey, maybe we can get together and work together on some kind of thing with this reptile thing. And he was like, this sounds actually really cool. Let's jump on the phone. And then right at that time is when he started becoming part of the crew of Ghost Adventures. And we just never talked on the phone. But I still have his email address. I mean, if I ever wanted to reach out to him, but
we gotta get him
I don't know if we get him on the podcast or not. That would be a crazy one if we did.
Becky said, I was going to send bottled lobster. Well, as long as it's in a sealed bottle, I'm down.
Bottled lobster. What is a bottled lobster?
I don't know, dude.
I mean, do they?
I don't know if I even want to look it up. It sounds like it could be terrible.
Bottled lobster. I mean, does she literally like bottle them herself?
I knew there was going to be some. Maybe like this.
Oh. Well, listen, a couple things, Becky. I don't think you can send it over state lines, because she's from Canada, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that you could do that. But that being said, if you sent me bottled lobsters and it came from you, number one, I know you're not trying to kill me. Number two, I know you're not trying to put marijuana in my lobster.
That you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that for sure. But I would definitely take your bottled lobster. 100%. I didn't even know they bottled lobster.
I never heard of that before.
But I'm down. And like I said, we are going on a lobster trip in the spring. We're going to go on a lobster trip.
That's my favorite thing you've said on this podcast.
Yeah, we're going on it, man. We're doing it.
Brad says, yay, my dream is to make sure there's still a wild population. Yeah. Going to Oregon State for natural resources. Thanks again for all the inspiration, and I will hopefully be out in July.
That's awesome. I hope you can, and yeah, work on that stuff. I mean, we need conservation efforts, and probably, there's a lot of conservation efforts, obviously, with rhinos and sharks and orca, and the list goes on and on. Cheetah, lions, all that type of stuff. But there's not nearly the push for conservationists to try to protect reptiles.
You're not wrong.
I mean, there are certain ones, obviously, crocodilians in particular have probably the most organized conservation
wild,
groups.
Right?
And there's been some amazing conservation stories, including the American alligator, the Nile crocodile, and the saltwater crocodile. All of them literally teetering on extinction, and now are very much, I mean, almost to the point where they're nuisance animals. I mean, I hate to say that. I don't look at them that way, but if you were in Florida and, you would know alligators are everywhere. Same thing when you're in Northern Territory, Australia. I mean, they're everywhere, and they're very dangerous.
That's so much more scary.
And that was an area much like the American alligators back in the 70s and early 80s, where they were literally on the edge of extinction. Wow. And through farming and making a legalization of selling hides and meat and stuff like that, it gave a purpose for people to protect them. And
if not, then they're just considered something that might eat your dog or something, right?
Yeah,
to those people.
And what happened, like in Darwin, Australia, there's a couple big farms. There's Graham Webb's farm. There's Crocosaurus as well, or Crocodilus, I believe it. Maybe Graham's is Crocodilus, and then Crocosaurus is the other one. I can't remember. I've been to Crocosaurus, and they sell. I mean, it's super expensive too to buy a giant, tanned hide of a crocodile was like $3,000.
Wow, really?
And then teeth were very expensive. And then of course, everywhere, just like here, we have alligator that people eat. There, they eat crocodile.
Wow.
So like everywhere you go, you can get fried cow. I've never tried a reptile. I've never tried a rattlesnake. I've never tried a crocodile. I've never tried an alligator. And it's not that I'm opposed to it, because I realize that those conservation efforts are what save them. I just personally love reptiles, and I don't want to eat them.
Yeah.
So I haven't
have to.
And I'm not going to try a Burmese python. I'm not going to try.
There's plenty of other food for you to eat out there.
There's iguana. In Mexico they eat iguana. Not just Mexico, but a lot of the Caribbean as well eat iguanas. So
I mean, it's pretty much a chicken, right? I mean, it's a reptiles, birds, pretty same. I'm sure it's probably similar in taste too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is crazy. I've only had frog legs, and I was super young, but that's the only thing I've ever had.
Yeah, I've never. Noah likes frog's legs. I've never tried them.
It's just salty chicken, really.
Yeah.
It's really what it tastes like. Austin dropping a nice 50 bomb.
Thank you, Austin.
Appreciate you, Austin. He says, hey, guys, much love from Wisconsin. Can't wait to pass my driver's test because the Reptarium is my first trip.
Awesome.
Would you guys have any Alterna or Pyromelana for BHB in the future? Keep rocking.
Yeah, both. We have both Alterna and Pyromelana that are breeding this year. So, and that's, Alterna gray banded king snakes, Pyromelana or Arizona mountain king snakes. So we have albino Arizona mountain king snakes, hypo Arizona mountain king snakes, and then we'll have Blair's and Alterna phase gray bandeds. Hopefully, I mean, I can't say for sure, just out of brumation, hopefully with any luck, we'll have some success. Yeah.
Daniel says, me and my fiance Rhino will be having our first child April 22nd, 2022.
Wow.
Think he will be an animal lover. Hope to the future we'll have a better outlook and snakes or about snakes or any other animals that people fear.
Well, congratulations. That's coming up soon, April 22nd, 2022. That'll be a easy 4-2-2-2-2-2.
2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 4.
2. But yeah, no, that's great, man. I mean, that's super cool. And, I think, obviously we have Nathan James, my daughter's son, my grandson.
My daughter's son.
Yeah, our daughter's son. And so hopefully he will love reptiles as well. I mean, I always said, it's interesting, like Noah's an interesting thing, right? Because Noah really, like Jade didn't mind reptiles, but she was never really into them, but she worked with us, and she worked with us until she went off to college. And then Noah really didn't have any interest at all. And now he's starting to grow interest in reptiles, which is interesting. Like today, he was literally cleaning reptile cages without me even asking.
He was
just upstairs just cleaning reptile cages. And he had his Reptarium shirt on today. Like he normally doesn't work on Saturday and Sunday, and he came in today and he was crushing it. And he's great
at handling animals too.
Yeah,
he really is. For somebody, like you said, for somebody who didn't grow up loving them. Mm-hmm. I mean, you'd think he's been doing it his whole life.
Yeah,
I know he has.
And I know he's a goofball and acts all wild on videos
camera
and stuff like that.
He's he's pretty good.
Yeah, and he messes with his Argus monitors every day. Training them and keeping them real tame, and so you can see the love, and that makes me happy.
Yeah, sure.
It makes me happy.
That's the best, dude.
Yeah.
LD came back to say 5 years ago I got a Retic as my first snake.
Wow.
Woo, she is big now, and I feel I can handle and care for her well. Have a huge custom enclosure for her. No, you don't recommend one as a first snake, but will it get harder from here?
5 years old, I don't think it gets harder. I think at 5 years, you're pretty much
maintenance.
You pretty much understand what you're going to do with a retic after 5 years. I definitely don't recommend retics as a first snake. I mean, or a Burmese python for that matter. Although I've done it, and other people. I think was it Berm Donor that said. I think he might have had Berm as his first snake as well.
You might be right.
I think that's what he said.
I know he got his sister one, right? He got or something like that. Yeah, he got his sister one and said it was a ball python.
Said it was a ball python.
Class,
it's like,
dude.
But
that's how you do it.
But I mean, there's something really special about large snakes, especially if you have the right enclosure for them.
That's the big
especially
part,
if you have the ability. My only real advice is always as a pet, it's difficult because I really don't think people should work with big snakes without someone else there. Just because you never know what can happen. I've been working with big snakes. Literally, my first snake was a Burmese python when I was 15 years old. So, 37 years. I've never went one day in 37 years without having a big snake. And it's I know, Jay. I knew what you were gonna say. But I've never once been in a precarious position with them. Not even once. Not one time did I. And I've been bit a lot by big snakes. I really have been. But I've never once been in a position where I thought I was going to die or it was going to be dangerous or get stitches or anything like that. But I realized it could happen.
Of course.
And I don't want to be the guy that happens to. So that's the only advice I have. I don't think it's going to get harder for you to take care of your snake. I think it's going to be completely fine. But I do think that if you could, make sure when you're cleaning it or feeding it or taking it out, there's someone just within earshot of you. And listen, this may sound terribly brutal, but I mean, I have a thing with my crew and everyone here is like, if anyone is in a life-threatening situation with the Burmese python or a reticulated python, and I mean a life-threatening, I mean, we would obviously want to try to get the snake off if we can. But I've told everyone, if you can't do that, and there's like literally a life-threatening situation, you have to euthanize the snake. You have to kill the snake. It's like you're not going to take someone's life over the animal. I mean, it's like if it's that dangerous. Now, I pray. I don't think that it will ever happen.
Ever.
And I pray it would not happen. If it was happening, let's say if it was happening to me, where I felt I was in a life-threatening situation, I would do everything I could do to not have that snake die. You know what I mean?
Me too.
Everything I would do. But if I have like one of my crew that's literally going unconscious and I can't get the snake off or something like that, we're going to have to do what we have to do. But I'm just saying that even with us doing all the things that we've done, you don't really know what's going to happen. You don't. You know what I mean? And,
so you always got to err on the side of caution.
Yeah. So and it's not good for you, but it's also not good for the hobby as well.
Nope Rope says, "What's up, guys? Much love from Nerd. How's it going over there, bro?"
Yeah, I know, man. We got to get back out there, man.
Just talking about that too.
Yeah, we were just talking about getting out there. And it's been too long and stuff like that. I miss it. And,
yeah, I mean, it's literally been since right before COVID, right? Like we went out there right before we opened the Reptarium 2.0.
Right before. So yeah, it'd be nice to take a trip out there in the summer. I've been out there only one time in the summer, weirdly enough.
Really? Yeah. Because every time you're in the winter.
I'm always out there in the winter. So
Blizzards.
one time, and it's beautiful because I mean, there are alligators outside. These guys, Rhino iguanas outside.
Wait, really?
Yo. So yeah.
I didn't know that. I've just seen chickens out there.
Yeah. No, he's got a big thing for his alligator.
Big thing for his poultry.
Yeah, he's got a big
poultry fetish.
Lots of cats. But no, it's really cool in the summertime out there. And by the way, that area of the country in the summer, fucking gorgeous, man. I mean, like really, really gorgeous. There's just something about New England that's special. It's a very interesting, rich in history. Yeah. The architecture is so beautiful.
Very lush.
So yeah, definitely.
Timothy says, "Happy Saturday. How's our puffing snake? LOL. And breeding season for the mangroves looking?"
So we have some eggs from the mangroves. I was actually literally looking at mangroves today, and it looks like there's a few more females that are going to be are in shed. That looks like that's the pre-lay shed.
Awesome.
So I think we're going to get a few more clutches in the next, say, week and a half, 2 weeks. But we do have a couple clutches incubating right now. Puffing snake's doing good, growing, getting bigger. I really like to pair it up this year, so I could have a pair. I really want to get red ones, red puffing snakes. Is
Wait,
what I really want to get.
There's red puffing
snakes? Yeah, you
snake?
can check it out. I think it's
I've never heard of it. Now, is it the same like species or is it a totally?
Yeah, it's totally. There's like red, yellow, green.
Wow.
Yeah, let's see what we got here.
Is this like?
Yeah, so those are, yeah, that's it.
Wow.
Yep, that's
dude,
it.
That's crazy.
Yep, isn't that thing?
There's
beautiful?
not many shots.
There's not a lot of shots of stuff in there.
Weird.
All,
I wonder
really.
why.
But that's the red ones, yeah, and then you can see the green ones as well.
Is that another one right there?
Yeah, it's like not a real pretty one, but it is a red one. But you can see the green ones. Obviously, ours is like kind of the tanny ones.
The tan yellow, like this one almost.
Yeah,
right?
that's the one we have, which is pretty,
beautiful.
but it's just not.
This is
stunner,
crazy.
You know,
that's the green one.
This is this is the green one. Look at that. Yeah.
Damn,
Oof.
dude, that's incredible.
Yeah.
It's a very cool animal. I really do like them a lot.
Oh,
I've fallen in love with colubrids a lot more since I've been here for sure.
No, that's dope. That's really cool. Yeah, no. So hopefully we can do that. There's a bunch of stuff I want to get. Obviously, I'm an addict.
Seth says, Brian, spotted python or children's python for a first snake. Also, my captive bred Tokay is doing great. Love everyone. More life, more love.
So children's and spotteds are basically almost the same animal. To be honest with you, they're obviously different species, but they look almost the same. They act the same. They get about the same size. Spotteds will get maybe just slightly bigger than a children's python. So either one of them are perfectly good, you know. So whichever you perfectly prefer. I wouldn't mind getting some captive Tokays because they're so cute when they're babies. And I think that if you get them as babies, you could maybe get them tamed out. And
beautiful animals.
just an absolutely gorgeous. I mean, Tokay geckos are some of the prettiest geckos out there, to be honest with you.
For sure.
And it's just their attitude that causes them to be kind of a guard. You know, two things cause it: their attitude and the fact that they come in so cheap. You know, I'm telling you, I've said this a million times. If they would have came in like lychees came in.
Yeah.
And they were only from like a small island chain like New Caledonia, they would be a $5,000 animal. You know?
Oh, easy. I mean, they're incredible. I mean, even like the regular, no morph is one of the most beautiful animals you'll ever see.
And then the powder blues. I just got offered a pair of powder blues, but they were wild caught, and they were still expensive, like $3,000 for the pair, and they were wild caught. So, have you seen the ones that just patternless Tokays? I mean, they're
called powder blues.
Yeah, powder blue patternless Tokays. I even just say powder blue Tokay gecko might come up. You can see, like for sale. But I mean, just look at how freaking gorgeous that is. Yeah, that one right there. Like, look at that, man.
It doesn't even seem real.
I mean, that's a beautiful animal.
But these are normal, right?
That's a normal Tokay. So I mean, that's beautiful too,
dude.
It's super beautiful.
The contrast almost makes it even crazier because you have that.
Yeah, you got the orange,
which is a weird. I would love to know more about like where these guys are from and everything because. It's a weird thing, right? There's no camouflage really of going blue to orange. You're contrasting yourself.
It might be the like I'm dangerous. Don't mess with me.
That's what I'm wondering.
Because we literally found those in the park in the middle of Jakarta.
No way, dude.
Tokay geckos were everywhere. I mean, like literally
as if it was in a knoll, pretty much, right?
Like a knoll, yeah, exactly. It's like we stayed in this hotel. You could go down to the out the lobby, and there was a park right across the street because Jakarta is a really big city. And I don't want to say this is Central Park because it was a much smaller park than Central Park. Yeah. But it was right across the street, and we went there, and literally Tokays all over the place.
That
and
is so cool.
At nighttime, Tokays all over the place. So, yeah, crazy.
Shovel Nose Hog says, over the years of keeping reptiles, have you found any treats for treatments for Cryptosporidium?
Yeah, so Cryptosporidium is probably, for people that don't know, it's something that geckos get, colubrids get. Actually, all snakes and reptiles can get it, but it is a highly contagious issue.
Deadly, right?
It's not necessarily deadly, to be honest with you. Snakes, it's more like something that they can live with Cryptosporidia their entire life, right. And they don't die from Cryptosporidia. They die from the side effects of Cryptosporidia, which basically can be digestive issues, swelling, stuff.
It's almost like
that.
Mononucleosis in humans, almost.
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah. But there's no treatment for Cryptosporidia. Keeping your cages really clean, the stress level really down, being very cautious when you're interacting with different animals that potentially could have Cryptosporidia. And then, you can use Flagyl if they start to regurgitate from Cryptosporidia, and that can sometimes bring around. But, obviously, I think that Cryptosporidia is a lot more prevalent in geckos and colubrids than people know. I think that probably most collections of geckos that have any size to them, in most leopard geckos, I should say, in most collections of colubrids that have any size. If I don't know, we've never tested our colony, but I would be willing to bet if we tested every single colubrid we had, somebody probably has Cryptosporidia.
Yeah, it's just bound to happen.
I don't know that for sure, and I'm just being honest with you. I mean,
yeah, of course.
I'd be like, oh, we've never had that problem, but we it wouldn't surprise me if it was floating around. But unfortunately, it's as of right now, it's untreatable.
Beautiful,
but not deadly, not fatal.
No, that's what I was wondering, because obviously a lot of reptiles take some illness pretty difficult. So
yeah, no, it's if you keep stress down, proper husbandry,
right?
Typically the problems don't really occur
when it comes on. Like, do you is there like an initial set of symptoms
usually
that happens?
Usually it's regurgitation. Regurgitation.
So it'll regurgitate.
And it's tough because colubrids regurgitate sometimes.
Regardless, yeah.
Like if you have too much, if they're too big a food, they'll regurgitate. They're not like a python that can, or an anaconda that can take a gigantic meal. So yeah, it's
interesting.
Something that happens. Yeah.
Taco Cruiser says, what substrate would you recommend for Kenyan sand boas? Also, should I feed it in a separate enclosure?
So I'm not a big fan of feeding in separate enclosures. That's not to mean that you can't feed in separate enclosures. And let me break down the thought process behind a separate enclosure, right, or what they call a feed box, right? Is the fact that you don't want your snake, you feed in a separate feed box because you don't want your snake to think that you're food when you open up the cage, right? So when you open up the enclosure and it thinks food, right? Now, this is my thinking behind it. And this is one of the reasons we target train some animals, right? Is that if we have a highly food motivated animal, we want to target train with a ball so that they know if there's no ball when you open the cage, they know there's no food, right? So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is if the only time you open the cage, you feed the animal, of course, every time you open the cage, it's going to think there's food, right? But if you're feeding once a week to your sand boa, in 6 days a week, you're opening the cage to take it out to play with it. In its head, it's not going to think that you're feeding it every day because 6 days a week you're playing with it, right?
Exactly.
So I think that and listen, they say don't handle a snake the day of or maybe the day after you feed your snake, at least 24 hours. But yet, if you're using a feed box, you're doing exactly that. Even if it's a small handle, you're taking out, you're putting in a box, you're doing. And some snakes stress out even with that little bit of movement. So I'm just, listen,
I'm with you
food
too,
boxes can be fine, but I don't think they're necessary, and I don't think that's something I personally, I've never used them, and I don't tell people to do them. As far as substrate, I like aspen Santa chips. I think dust-free aspen Santa chips is really good. So yeah, I'd probably use something like that.
This is just a question because I'm sure somebody's out there is asking it. Why not sand for a sand boa?
So two reasons. Number one, it's very abrasive on the animal.
Yeah.
Of course, in the wild they do it, but they also die a lot in the wild, right?
They're not going to live. Typically, wildlife lifespan is less. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the best thing to do is to keep them on something that's easier for them, so not as abrasive. The other thing is sand holds tremendous amount of bacteria.
Yes, it does.
So when you have a snake that's peeing and pooing,
unless you're cleaning that sand out
unless
completely.
You're throwing that sand out, and that's crazy to throw sand out every 5 days or something like that. Whereas with Santa chips, you can clean like spot clean. If it has a quarter of the cage is dirty, you can clean quarter of the cage, throw new bedding down, and just tear the cage down maybe every 2 or 3 weeks and disinfect. And it's just a much better substrate for sure.
Now I know most people don't use sand for any reptiles. Is there a lot of problems with
impaction
too, right?
Yeah. I mean, I know ZoomEd took a lot of grief about that because they were using calca sand.
Yeah.
And they still do, I believe. And there's with bearded dragons and leopard geckos, there's a tremendous amount of impaction issues with salt, sand, because they will eat the sand. 100%.
I mean, it's almost impossible not to. You try to eat something on the beach, you're eating sand.
Yeah. So, I stay away
sandy
from
chips.
Sand.
It is.
Yeah, we don't have any sand in any enclosure at the Reptarium or anywhere else.
Nope Rope Exotics came back to say it's going good at Nerd. Things are settling in, breeding and stuff. Just got a new ambassador animal. It's a black throat.
Nice.
And lots of baby retics on the way.
That's good.
Look
good
out.
on all front. Blackthroats are so great. So that's awesome that you guys got a new thing. That's I wonder if Cav will try to breed blackthroats.
Ooh,
that'd be cool. Maybe I know Kenan produced some black baby
just recently, with his buddy too.
With the guy that we went over to visit.
Jerry, maybe.
I think it was Jerry, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Creme de la Clutch says, "Good evening, ladies and germs. Have you guys seen the scaleless garters? A paludarium with garters would be awesome. I agree.
Let's look them up because I'm interested to see. I haven't personally seen scaleless garters, so I wonder what the deal is with that.
That's a ball python, right?
Yeah,
it's a ball python.
Yeah, that's a ball python.
It
looks like maybe the scaleless garter snake right there. Yeah, that looks like it. Interesting. So it looks like a checkered garter snake.
But instead of checkers, it has spots. Bruh, I'll take 10 of those. That's sick as hell.
It's a really good looking snake.
Polka,
this is a scaleless snake. Interesting. Yeah, so
cool.
Obviously, way back, I think the first scaleless snake I ever saw, it was a guy named Eric Thiss. Actually, old school. I don't know if he's still even around. He actually showed up to the Lee Watson show, and I talked earlier how there was the Columbus, Ohio show, and the Lee Watson Chicago show monthly, and he showed up just randomly and had a northern water snake that gave birth, and 2 of the babies were scaleless.
What?
And actually, a friend of mine, Keith, that was with me, he was a local guy. He was one of the crew that I was talking about that we used to get together at my house all the time.
Right.
He was one of them. He bought one of the scaleless water snakes and unfortunately killed it.
Idiot.
I don't know if he killed it. I don't know if he killed it or if it just was a weak animal and died. And then Eric kept one, and I don't think Eric ever produced it either. Right. So I think that was like the first scaleless snake that I'd ever seen. That goes.
Did it trip you out when you seen it?
Oh my god, it was so cool because it was so beautiful. Just punch up I don't know if there's been a scaleless water snake. I have no idea if there'd be pictures of this by any stretch. Yeah, it looks like there is.
Is this it right here? No, that's a Texas rat, right?
This is what it looked like right there.
Whoa, no way.
That's what it looked like. So apparently there's been more out there because that's exactly
But that's an old photo too, though.
Yeah, that does look like
that. Looks like
that could literally be. Oh yeah, there's a scaleless hognose snake.
Whoa.
I remember when this was born too. It did die.
Man, that thing's so cool.
But the scaleless death adder obviously is right here.
Is that this?
That's
so cool, dude. What?
Yeah.
Looks like a corduroy jacket.
It looks like a scaleless Florida banded water snake, which is not very pretty. The northern one was, but yeah, that's exactly what that one looked like. Wow. So yeah, scaleless snakes are interesting. I
do like the berm too. The berm's real sick. I like that.
Yeah, the berm is incredible. But yeah, so that I wouldn't be surprised if that picture was actually Eric Thiss, because Eric Thiss was big on taking pictures back in the day, and he was into books and publications. That's what he sold.
And that picture's from the 90s for sure. Maybe early 2000s at the most.
Yeah, so that was probably the other one that Keith didn't have. Yeah, so... Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
Our buddy, Brassman Reptiles, German. Yes. He says, "Colubrids for the word. Haha, never enough space for everything we want to keep. Much love, guys. Look forward to coming out next month."
Yeah, that's right. Next month, he's coming out.
I'm vetting Brian's calendar now, so
yeah, I know. See. Yeah.
So I got you, Jeremy.
So Jeremy's coming out, and one of his friends is coming out as well. So,
awesome.
So
with him?
I don't know if they're. I think they're meeting here.
Oh,
I'm not mistaken. But I don't know. You know me, man. I'm so.
Yeah, sure. Come on, and then it'll be the day, and you're like, shit,
oh
dude,
man, forgot all about this, man. But yeah. So,
we can't wait to see you, though, Jeremy.
Yeah, but Jeremy's always welcome here, man.
Scottish Rob says, "Hope all is well. Enjoying the podcast. Hope to meet you at Tinley Park next week."
Unfortunately, we are not. So we were teasing the fact that we might go to Tinley Park
because we really wanted to.
Because we really wanted to. I've said I've had this video idea to do at Tinley Park for the last few years, and I wanted to do it.
I'll have to wait another few months.
But unfortunately, we thought Lori got the date screwed up and thought that Tinley Park was today and tomorrow, and so she booked today off.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
So we didn't have a VIP for podcast. We didn't have any Brian tours today, so that I could go today. But obviously, we figured out about a week ago that it was not this week; it was next week. And unfortunately, I have tours and birthday parties and I have a VIP next week and stuff like that. So I can't leave. There's nothing I can do about it. So I will not be at Tinley, which is really a bummer. I'm sorry.
But maybe we'll call somebody while we're in here.
Exactly. Yeah.
LD said, I never feed or clean the cage without someone near me. Before I got her, I was always around my friend who had been keeping big snakes for 20 plus years.
Nice.
My Retic is very sweet, never been bit, but I know it can happen.
Yeah, I mean, it can happen, but it doesn't have to happen. You know,
exactly.
I mean, like, you know, I mean, mistakes
it's not
happen.
guaranteed.
Mistakes happen, but it's just always, so you're doing the right thing and you'll be fine. Listen, you know, you're going to be good, and you know, retics and berms are so special. I wish all reptile keepers could have the experience of just working with the giants, even just for a very short period of time, because they really are a special snake. I mean, you can get an appreciation for snakes that are 18, 20 foot long more than anything else. I mean, you know, you pull out Gemma or we pulled out Lucy a couple days ago with
which was chaos.
It was so fun because, you know, obviously Chris and Gabby and Danny and Savannah were here, and Savannah's pulled out Lucy with me a few times, but the other people didn't. So, and they had already pulled out Daisy and Gemma. So those are big snakes, but Lucy's a different level.
Lucy's a different
and
monster.
Even Chris, who is like the Adonis of bodies, you know.
Physical
I mean, this
attributes,
dude looks like he just, you know, they chiseled him out of granite or something like that. Even he was like wore out.
Yeah.
Because he took the brunt. He took the front end and he took the brunt of it. And he was like deep, you know, like deep breathing and everything. I mean, he was definitely feeling it. And Gabby was on the end.
It's
like
getting
barely
whipped around, right?
Yeah, she was getting whipped around, and within like 20 seconds, she tapped out.
Yeah, dude.
She was like, "All right, I'm so tired. I gotta take a break." And so I tell people all the time. You guys might see it in the video when we're doing a video. It's like, you know, why is Brian? You know, he must really. Granted, I am out of shape, but you know, people are like, "Oh, he must really be out of shape." But you handle that snake, and I'm telling you what, within 20 seconds. You're tired, man.
Actually, I think what's funny, you know, I've obviously been with you for a bit. I think you handle bigger snakes better than most people, and I think most people that are talking that shit would be tired and half that time.
And like, now what do I do?
Yeah, and like, you're not a huge dude, and you're handling a 20-foot snake as much as I like, and I don't know how to handle 20-foot snakes, but you know how to, the technique. It's like jujitsu.
Yeah, it's just you just got to read the snake
and move with it, not against it.
Yeah, because if you start fighting it, you're
and that's what Chris was probably doing.
Yeah, Chris was fighting it, and he's not going to win that battle.
I tell people all the time, and I know it's a horrible analogy, but it's literally what it feels like. It's like holding a treadmill that's running.
Yeah,
and it's just every time you touch it, it moves 10 feet away.
Yeah, and it's just like you got to go. It's crazy. It's an experience that I wish everyone could have.
I did have that gave me a banging idea for a vlog, though. I ain't saying it on here.
All right,
but
good. I like it.
Yeah.
It's just, speaking of big snake experiences, you know, I mean, you know, the crew loves when I'm at the Reptarium because I do the craziest shit. So sure enough, we have this cutest little girl. Her name is Luna. That comes in every Friday. She's like, what do you think she is, 5?
I don't know.
4?
Maria just came home telling me about her last night.
Yeah, they come every Friday, and her mom is a sweetheart as well. And she says, you know, like, every week, Luna's just, how many more days till we go back to the Reptarium? So they've been coming every Friday for the last like 2 months.
Yeah.
And Luna is just great. So, of course, every time she comes, I'm trying to find new things for her to do.
Right.
You know, she loves, we've got a king snake named Luna. So, of course, she loves to hold Luna. And she loves
clean
Helen.
some enclosures.
But what we do. So, of course, I had her crawl in with Ivy yesterday.
Yeah, dude.
And so she climbs in there, which then ensues a 25-minute line of people that want to climb in with Ivy.
No, you didn't.
So
you
literally,
did not,
I just let every kid in the entire place climb in with Ivy and get pictures. And I used to do that with Bella. You know, when I first opened up the Reptarium, I used to sit up in Bella's cage sometimes for hours because there would just be person after person after person.
Yeah, you'd have the step stool there, and they'd climb
the step
up.
stool, they'd climb up, they'd do whatever. I'd take some pictures, and it's like 100 degrees under that basking light, you know, and I'd just sit up there and sweat and let kids do it. But it was such a great experience. So it kind of brought me back to those days, and it was kind of cool. And ironically enough, there was this one set of people that said, yeah, we actually heard about, this was cool. They're like, we heard about this week because we were at the Detroit Zoo in the Reptile house, and someone was like, oh my God, if you like reptiles, you have to go to the Reptarium. They had not even heard of the Reptarium. So they were there, and then all of a sudden their kid is now in with a giant anaconda.
This
and
place
she's like,
is insane.
She's like, this is a lot different experience than the reptile house at the zoo, isn't it? And I was like, yeah, it sure is. And
That's awesome,
but yeah, we had like, I don't know, like 30 kids, all came up one at a time, climbed it. And the only thing I was worried about is them falling in the water.
Yeah,
I'm not worried
of
about
course.
anything else, but
That's
yeah, so big
cool,
snake
dude.
experience are pretty dope.
Sherry Lynn says, I think DBCB still breeds Tokays.
Ah, that's right. I think he
Slothopus.
does. Slothopus for sure, man. Definitely.
Timothy says, are bird-eating snakes or neotropical bird eaters same as puffing snakes?
No, they're not. They're not the same.
Duh.
Yeah.
Duh, Timothy.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. Wicked Mitten Python says, what up, B-Rad?
Wicked Mitten. He better be in Michigan,
He
right?
has to be, yeah.
Has to be in the Mitten State.
In the snake room cleaning poop and pee.
Nice.
Keeping it real, big dog. I'm about to explode.
Oh my God! Yeah,
Ain't wrong.
Yeah, she is looking ginormous right now.
Every time
and
I
I
see
can't
her.
even imagine if she still took food the last 2 times we offered.
It's true.
But we're feeding her small meals now, obviously, because if she is gravid, you don't want to feed them too big of meals, and they will oftentimes take small meals until towards the end of gestation. But she is like literally looks like she ate a giant meal every day.
Yeah, but she hasn't in mad long.
Yeah, she hasn't. Yeah, it's been about 10 days since she ate. So we're going to keep the food pretty light on her, but we want to keep her feeding, but we're going to keep it pretty light. And she's definitely, if she doesn't have babies, I don't know what.
Well, dude, even like I said, like if you guys go back and watch the 50-hour challenge and you watch, we didn't feed her a big meal before that.
Yeah.
So she should have had nothing in her. And
Yeah.
when she's crawling, bringing the rabbit into the water, she looks so big. Dude.
Yeah.
So big.
She looks huge. So hopefully, I tell you what, if having baby greens would be
so sick, dude.
It'd be the best ever.
I can't
I'd be
wait.
so
I just can't
excited.
wait to go to work that day.
I know. I'll be so excited. Yeah.
Nolo says, hope you guys are well. I just got a pastel cinnamon banana double head G-stripe pied male.
Wow, that's a good one.
I'm pairing him to a pied and a hornet fingers fingers crossed.
Nice. Good job.
I want to
That's a
say
beautiful-
hornet.
I don't know what a hornet is.
But that is a beautiful ball python. You're right, Brian. That's
I can't.
sick.
I don't know what the. I know hornet is like a combination animal. I just don't know what it is.
Okay. So it's like some
Yeah.
some designer name.
Right. So maybe we go genetics. Yeah. World of ball pythons would probably be the place to find out.
World of ball pythons.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. There's a killer hornet. That's fine.
Okay, cool. We'll just take away that pastel.
So it's a G-striped spider.
Super pastel.
So it's a G-striped
pastel.
spider is a hornet then.
Interesting.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
So when you do a G-stripe, this is interesting. I've never seen this before.
Yep.
G-stripe, it kind of like makes a softer spider.
Yep, exactly. Yep, like a diffused spider.
I would have never thought that's a thing.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
interesting. Very
Interesting.
cool.
There you go.
Well, there you go. It's a
There
nice
you
pair.
go. Yeah, it's good. Good for you, man. That's going to have some good babies.
Timothy came back. He says, what is best bedding for Euromastics? And absolutely impressed with how well Reptile Primes holds moisture and very little dust.
Well, thank you. And we actually, Euromastics, we actually keep them on bird seed.
Yeah,
Believe
straight
it or not. So like, millet.
Millet.
Yeah, millet in a mixture. And if you want, you can email like BHB info at BHB Reptiles, and we can get you exact combination. So weirdly enough, Lori's uncle has a bird seed factory.
No, he doesn't.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
So this is actually weird, right?
Wait, are you for real?
I swear to God.
Because I need bird seed, dude.
Do you need?
I love birds, dude.
Oh, well,
so dude, we got to get the hookup, dude.
Yeah. No, he lives right, 26 and
No way, dude.
Yeah, 26 and 94.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so weirdly enough, a little side story here for you guys is that when I met Lori, I was obviously. Yeah, she was a bird.
Yeah.
No, so obviously was into reptiles, and I worked at a pet shop, and we bought from a place called Herman Brothers.
No.
Well, Lori is Lori Herman before she became Lori Barczyk, and the Herman at Herman Brothers was actually her uncle.
No way.
Yeah. So there was 2 Herman brothers. There was one uncle, which was her dad's brother's son. And then, so her dad and her brother both started companies at the same time. Well, they started together and then broke apart. One did pet supplies, so like water bowls and you name it, like whatever. And then Lori's grandfather, which ultimately was taken over by his son, her uncle, did bird seed, bird bells, bird ladders, all bird stuff. And so weirdly enough, weird that her family was in the pet trade and my family, or I was in the pet trade in the reptile world. But still to this day, her uncle has a bird seed place. And
so cool. I did not know that.
So we get our millet and whatever the mixture is just mixed from him.
Cool.
And that's where we get our Euromastic stuff because they eat pellets. They eat bird seed. So that's what we keep them on.
2 birds, 1 stone.
Yes.
Scottish Rob says, bummer, but such is life. Still wanting to get to the Reptarium. Difficult since we traveled to Arizona where our sons live now.
What was the?
I don't know what the bummer was.
We must have said something to him, right?
Yeah, I just can't remember.
I don't remember.
Hope all is well. Hope to meet you at Tinley Park.
Yeah.
Yes,
Tinley
I
Park.
know. It is a bummer, dude.
Yeah. No, it is a bummer. But we'll have some people like, MJ is coming from Tinley Park, and we got a few other people coming from Tinley Park too. So we'll have a little bit of company amongst everything else that's going on. I know that the real Mowgli will be here as well that weekend. So yeah, it'll be a little bit of a and Jason's
MJ
coming
too, right?
MJ, Real Mowgli, and Jason, our buddy from
Morph Mixology?
No,
Oh.
from St. Louis.
Oh, get the heck out of
Yeah,
here.
they're all gonna. So it's gonna be a gigantic bash of a thing. Yeah.
Wicked Mitten says, duh, I was just there last weekend with Berm Donor. Hell yeah, I guess it's Scott.
Wicked Mitten. Scott. Okay, I'm sorry.
My bad, bro.
And it's funny because I remember seeing
on that podcast.
On the podcast, and we talked about it, but then I'm sorry, dude.
Dude, it's been a week, bro.
Yeah, I'm sorry, brother. I forgot the name of your business, but I do love the name of the business, by the way. So,
banger.
And it's awesome. So I can't wait. Yeah, I think he's got the pie berm thing going on too. So
no way.
Between him
Somebody's
and
giving
Donor, we're getting some freaking
pot Burmese.
Getting some pot Burmese pie phones.
Rachel says, hoping for a BHB Hognose. How big of an enclosure should I start out with?
Yeah.
Can I start him in a bioactive or keep it simple at first? Thank you for answering even silly questions.
I would keep it at first simple, just until it's really established.
Mm-hmm.
Once it's 6 months old or so, absolutely move in. I'd do something like the size of a shoebox. You want to keep something pretty small as a baby, maybe on some aspen bedding or aspen Sanichip. Water bowl, hide box, little hide, that's it. And you could put some decorations in there if you want. That's not a problem. But keep it pretty simple. And then, once it hits that, again, hogs don't get really big. So you can have something that's maybe start with a 10-gallon, going to end up with a 15-gallon type of enclosure, that type of size. And then you can go to your bioactive and put your plants and all the other stuff in there.
That's all I got for now, Mr. Braun.
Wow. You guys did good on the supers today.
They were crushing. We barely talked about anything.
I know. We were talking about, going back, and feel free if you guys have any other questions, hit me up on supers. I love you guys for that. You guys are amazing. Makes our Saturdays so much better, and I appreciate that. But going back to what we were talking about in the very beginning, we were talking about the camaraderie of the reptile hobby and how, like, in the beginning, it was so much different, and listen, I think, this is my kind of theory on that was that in the beginning there was a lot of it was new, right? So there wasn't a lot of money to be had, but there was a lot of demand that was starting to build up. Right. So there wasn't much production. People didn't produce tons of stuff like they do now. And so when you did produce stuff, it wasn't hard to trade it stuff or sell stuff or do whatever. It was pretty easy. And no one was making a living at it, but everyone was like coexisting pretty easily.
Yeah, because there was a low supply but a high demand, I guess.
Yeah, the demand was growing and the supply was really small, know. People weren't breeding hardly anything and what they were. I mean, there was no mass production of anything and so on like that. So guys like Mark Bell and Gary Sipperly were probably some of the two biggest. Lloyd Lemke was in there too, producing, maybe 100 clutches of colubrids a year. That was like the standard. Now there's people that are producing hundreds of clutches of ball pythons and hundreds of thousands of clutches of colubrids and stuff like that. Even leopard geckos, I remember back in the day, it's like, I remember a couple people that were producing they were producing 20 leopard geckos a year, and people were like, oh my God, 20 leopard geckos a year. Now there's people that literally produce over 100,000 leopard geckos in a season. So to give you an idea. So, But I think that's maybe why it was a little bit more kumbaya back then.
For sure.
And then what ended up happening was, like, I say this all the time, the ball python thing took off, and then there really became, like, real money. Burmese pythons, there was really money in it, but not like ball pythons. When ball pythons hit, it was like next level.
Well, because you had a
type
snake
money.
that everyone could get.
Yeah, because I mean, when people were like, it was kind of comical, because like everybody that had a reptile collection that was aspiring to breed reptiles had Burmese pythons. Can you think about that? Like, literally, people that prior to Burmese pythons were breeding corn snakes and king snakes and whatever. All of a sudden, they now have Burmese pythons.
They now have an 18-foot snake.
Yeah, because it was the only snake you could make money on, right? To actually maybe quit your job.
Right, exactly, which is crazy.
So it was a wild time, but then ball pythons came around, and it was a whole different
ball game. Yeah,
a whole different ball game. Yeah, excuse the pun.
Yeah,
So in the beginning, that was great. I mean, people were maybe jealous because someone was making a lot of money, but at the same time, everyone was making a lot of money, because, like, if you had a clutch of ball python mutation when things took up, you were going to sell everything. As a matter of fact, you would not only sell, you would have people mad at you for not selling, because you'd be like, "What do you mean you only sold 10 pinstripes this year for $250,000? I've got 25,000. You better sell me one too." And I was like, "I'm out," and they'd be like, "I hate you. Don't take my 25,000." So there was a little bit of that going on, but for the most part, everyone was good. I think it was when it got to the point when, like, there was 20, say, pastel clowns produced, but there was only 2 buyers for pastel clowns. So now you had 20 people that were trying to sell to 2 people, and the only way to really do that was to shit talk the other people. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't be like, "Hey, mine is better," because they all look pretty much the same. So you had one of 2 things. Mine's either cheaper, so you would start cutting people's prices, which caused kind of war to kind of start, that this guy cut this guy's price and so like that. And then the other thing is that people started making up stories, and that's hence the, like what happened with me a lot is that people started saying that all my stuff was dying, and that I had infestations of mites, and that I had Nido and all this other stuff that was going on, and and still to this day there are people that believe it, right? We were just talking about earlier today, there was a guy on the Tiki's Gecko video that commented basically like, "I dislike this video." It was a weird comment, because it was like, "I dislike this video because Brian was in it. Don't get me wrong, I know all he's done for the hobby, and he seems like a really good guy, but as a reptile keeper, he's a failure." And my response was, and he said something like, "With the hundreds of animals he's killed from neglect." And so my response was, "Hey, where's your proof of the hundreds of animals I've killed from neglect? Please come here and see for yourself, so that you're not spreading rumors, but actual truth with what you see in person yourself." And his response was, "Well, you can go on the Reptile Keepers Against Brian Barczyk page and get all the evidence you need." And I'm thinking like, oh, that's really not a non-biased thing, right? And really even that page, which is irrelevant now because, I mean, nobody goes to that page anymore except the same 20 guys that have had a hard on for me for forever. And they stand around and jerk each other off. But the fact is that all that information is taken from like snake bites from 10 years ago, right? And it's all taken out of context, completely out of context. And there's no new evidence over the last 10 years. No. There's no new allegations. There's no like, oh, this or that. It's all just the same bull crap that they recycle. So that kind of happened, and I think that's what broke the reptile hobby apart. Was that
became an industry?
It became like fighting and this and that, and just like any industry, and I think it's still in the evolution stage, and to some extent, is that you may not even know this. You know that in the early 1900s there was 2,000 car companies.
Yes, I did know that.
So 2,000. Now there's 10 or 12 or 15 or something like that, and we're in that evolution. And I don't want to be just food for thought. I don't want to be one of the car companies. I'm not interested in having BHB being one of the car companies. BHB is a hobby for me. It's a good business. It employs a bunch of people, and it pays their wages and stuff like that. But that's not where my future lies, you know what I mean? But I think you are going to see a consolidation continuing to happen over the next 10 or 12 years. And there'll always be hobby breeders and hobby breeders that make good money and hobby breeders that, supplement their income and some even hobby breeders that do it full time, in out of their basement or their backyard or their garage or whatever the case may be. But I think the big dogs will be the big dogs, and they will essentially eat up the small guys over the course of the next 10 or 12 years. And we've seen it already start to happen. Even with the real big companies like Reptile Industries, Reptiles by Mac, Gourmet Rodent, to name a few. There are no more suppliers to Petco PetSmart, you know what I mean? Like the big guys are already supplying Petco and PetSmart, and they aren't looking for new people, you know what I mean? And those are the huge conglomerates. I mean, those are the companies that are literally, have 150 employees, so that's already happened, and I think that's already done. But I think you're going to continue to see it. But that being said, I'm not in the reptile hobby like I was, and I don't hang around too many people in the reptile hobby these days, to be honest with you. But it does seem to be a lot more kumbaya than it did. But we've also had 13 years of economic growth in this country, and the kumbaya is still there. Let's see if the kumbaya stays here in the next. But yeah. So who knows?
No, but I agree with you 100%. Yeah. Brad says still doing rhino rats, and how are they for a first snake?
I'm definitely still doing rhino rats. Hopefully we'll produce some this year. Not a good first snake at all. I mean, they're delicate snake.
Oh, really? I didn't know that either.
They're delicate. They hatch out. They eat fish as babies. Not many of them eat pinkies right off the bat. It takes quite a while to really get them established. Once they're established, they're great, but they can also be a little bit temperamental too. So I wouldn't say by any stretch a good first snake. I'd say that's a definitely novice to expert level snake, to be honest with you.
And then Roberta says, will you ever have some babies, sell some babies from Nova?
Well, yeah. I mean, if we ever hatch any again, we've had kind of bad luck the last couple clutches. We had, I think that like 3 clutches ago, we had 6 eggs that were all perfect, laid in the nest box. I incubated them. They went full term, and all 6 babies were dead in the egg. Or no, I think 5 of the 6. I think one
survived.
One survived, and then all the rest of them were dead in the egg. Full term babies. I mean, looked perfect and just didn't hatch. And then the last 2 clutches, she's laid like outside of the nest box, and we haven't had any of them hatch. So, but she does look like she's gearing up for maybe another clutch to be laid here soon. So we're going to keep a closer eye on her this time. And I think if we can catch the eggs like the day she lays, even if she doesn't lay in the nest box, which we keep the nest box in there all the time. So I don't know why she's not going to lay in there, but for some reason she doesn't. She only laid in there one time ever. But if we produce them, I'm not going to keep any more. We already have, we have Billy the Frilly, which is the Australian Frilly, and then we have 2 of Nova and Lilith's babies, a pair, and then we have Lilith and Nova. So we have 5 frillies now, and
they're great.
We and they're awesome, but we don't need more.
No, that's all I got, Mr. Bra.
Yeah. So yeah, let's go back to a little bit talking about, and like I said, if you guys have any other questions, we'd love it. It's by the way, do me a favor, everyone in the chat, can you guys just hit the like button? It's always weird that you guys don't hit the like button.
There's like 245 people in here.
247 people and 137 likes. So just right
hit
now,
that.
Just hit that like button. I'm not going to even
We're not even moving.
I'm not even going to talk until we hit 150.
Let's do it.
Likes. So, yeah. Well, I shouldn't say I'm not going to talk, because that wouldn't be a very good podcast.
That's called holding them hostage, Brian.
Yeah, what's really weird is that I figured it would go to 150 like instantaneously. I think they're calling my bluff.
It takes 30 seconds.
Oh, that's right. It takes 30 seconds. We're delayed. That's right.
While we're delayed, I'll read this.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we're up to 146 already. So okay.
Timothy, there you go, 152. Timothy says, was so glad to meet up with Ron St. Pierre. Was there any talking about getting him on the podcast in the future? Any old stories you have to share?
Yeah, we talked about it. If he ever wants to travel up, we would love to have him. I mean, I would obviously, fly him up here for the podcast. No, we didn't. We didn't spend a tremendous amount of time. Unfortunately, what happened was we had a bunch of we were down at Ty's place, and we're trying to shoot up there, and traffic was really
crazy,
bad. So by the time we got there, with like the light was everything of his is outside, So light was starting to go down a little bit, and we only had like an hour before the light went down. So we spent about an hour. We filmed as much as we could. We did chit chat quite a bit about the old times and just yeah, I mean, he's a great guy. Really, it was great to reconnect with him. And I hope that we'll stay in touch. I'm definitely going to get some anoles from him. I really got to get those Blue Beauty anoles. Those things were absolutely incredible. I they're $5,000 a pair.
They're unreal.
So,
though.
but they're so neat that I think it's worth it. It's always this fine line between like spending money on stuff that like I don't really want to like breed anoles for profit, you know what I mean? But I'd like to have a really cool pair of green anoles, not green anoles, but Cuban anoles, like the Blue Beauties.
Yeah.
I'd like to have that pair on. But then you get to the point where if you have a pair, you're not going to breed them because they're $5,000. You know what I mean? It's
I
hard
just
to
think you do
justify
it
that.
like you got to do it like Reptarium style, right? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
you
Diddy
put them
Dixie,
together. If they breed, great. If they don't, they don't.
and if they do, then I mean, people are going to be more excited to buy those animals anyway because they come from animals they love. Like, think about it. Like you don't need to sell Ivy's babies to just random people. People that love Ivy are going to buy their babies.
Yeah, I think that's because I don't want to just like Ivy's babies won't just get thrown up on BHP website. I want to vet everybody, and I want people to be like, all right, I know what I want, and this is what I'm going to do with it, and I'm going to give them a proper home and stuff like that. So, I agree too.
Roberta says, I remember way back when I first found this channel, I thought, oh my God, how can he keep these snakes like that? But I kept watching and seeing you grow, and you educated me, and I love you all.
Well, and it's an interesting thing, right?
Sure.
Like how people change their opinions of just everything, and that's what we try to do. I mean, that's what my focus in life is to get people to look at reptiles in a different way. And listen, I think, again, BHB is evolving as quickly as the Reptarium is evolving. And, the gecko room down here, right across the hall from me here, the New Caledonia gecko room, is kind of the standard that we hope to set throughout BHB in the future.
I think that'd be great.
So like I've mentioned, BHB isn't going to be a mainstay. It's a hobby of mine. As the Reptarium grows and we can place labor into the Reptarium aquarium. So what I've always said is I'll never lay anybody off. If I downsize some areas of BHB, I'm not going to lay anybody off. So I need to have places for them to go in order to downsize out, in some areas of BHB. But as we downsize, what we're going to do is have more naturalistic enclosures that we're going to be breeding stuff in. And I think the New Caledonia room was like the first like adventure into that.
Yeah.
So rather than breeding all of our geckos in tubs, now we're going to be breeding them in these beautiful naturalistic enclosures. And I can see myself moving in that direction with breeding almost everything that we do, right?
Yeah, less quantity, better quality, bigger spaces.
Yeah, bigger spaces and more enjoyable. That way when I bring people on a tour of the colubrid room, they're going to be seeing these really cool colubrid enclosures that you can look into. Or when I bring them to the ball python thing, it's not going to be opening up a drawer to show.
You see all these colors, right?
Yeah, and again, it's nothing. I will never bash that world. I'll never bash people that keep stuff
just for us.
Just for us, this is the direction that I want to move in.
You're so right, though. How cool, because like think about it. We go upstairs, you have to like open the tub and grab the snake and then show somebody a puffin snake.
Yeah.
This is going to be like you could just walk down the aisle and look and you see a puffin snake and a Mexican black king and a theri. And
it's cool, like the New Caledonia room now, I think we're 6 cages away from being, 6 enclosures away from being done. And there's 50 in there, so we got 40-something enclosures that have animals in them already.
So cool, dude.
And it's so cool to walk in there because any course of the day you're going to see different geckos out. Sometimes you see the tiki geckos, dead pulls out. Sometimes you see leechies out. Sometimes see the lily white out. Sometimes you see the other cresteds out. Sometimes you don't. And that's what I'm excited about, and I'll continue to evolve the best I can.
Joyce says, keep loving animals and educating people. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Joy. I appreciate you very much.
And Let Roses Burn says, good to see old Snake Talk Solo plus J.
Yeah.
Back again. I love Brian's story time.
I appreciate it too. And Let Roses Burn was on, it was funny. She was on the Gatorland Live.
Oh, okay. Sick.
When we did the Gatorland Live after the podcast, after you split. And what did, let
What did Savannah say?
I'm trying to say what she I was when I said let roses burn. She was like let
Latrosis?
Latrosis
buns?
burn. Yeah, it's like Latrosis burns one. I think it's what she said. Latrosis burns one. And I was like, no, that's let roses burn.
Idiot.
And she was like, oh my God, I've been saying. I said, yeah, I met Let Roses Burn at Gatorland.
Yep.
I said she loves Gatorland. She was like, she's been there. Oh, that's awesome. So anyways, and then she ended up saying she gave them something. And then Savannah knew exactly who she was. So
there you go.
So it's nice to kind of put all the pieces together so everyone knows what they're talking about, you know?
Yes, of course. Lisa says, love you guys.
Thank you, Lisa. We appreciate you so much.
Pretty name. LD Music says, how's your Retic Neo doing?
She's doing so good. I mean,
she's
in shed right now and still looks great in shed even.
We seen her. We looked at her the other day and I thought the same thing. I'm like, wow, still looks badass.
It's a beautiful snake and I can't wait till it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Obviously it's got to get into a bigger enclosure here pretty soon because it's growing so quick. But yeah, it's a stunner and it's going to be. I know it will be as popular as Perdita as it gets bigger.
Oh, for sure.
It's already popular and it's just starting.
Maria.
Hey, Maria
says, hey, I just wanted to let you know that that content has me LMAO. I'm guessing the content.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm so glad
we've been trying to listen tomorrow, please. Everyone in this room right now.
We know you will
watch tomorrow's vlog.
You're gonna lose it.
It's again, I mean, these, Jay and Noah have been taking things to a level, and you guys know that, we were doing Saturdays as like the banger video. We still want Saturdays to be a banger video, but Sunday is like the banger video. That's the one that we're putting the time. We moved it from Saturday to Sunday, and I know Jay and Noah put a tremendous amount of time into this one, and I love it. It's interesting. Like, I've never really watched my vlog, right?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that it feels there's some sort of narcissism that makes me feel like if I watch it, I'm egotistical. So I don't really.
That, yeah.
So I always watch it once. Because
Just
I want to
check.
make sure that there's nothing in there that like, oh, we should have put this or this was misinformation or whatever. Not to say that we're always perfect on that stuff, right? But I always watch it once before I upload.
Try to
video,
vet it,
right?
yeah.
Like lately, like I've watched tomorrow's video 3 times already. Like 3 times I've watched the video because it's just so fun.
Yeah.
And that's what
we're going for.
And we're trying, the ultimate goal is, and let me ask you guys in the chat, in the super chat, there's 2 things that we might do here recently or pretty relatively soon. One, we may change the time that we post the video during the week. On the weekend, we would still post at 9:00 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. On the weekdays, we might switch up and start experimenting with posting at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in that area.
See
maybe
how it goes,
10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock, something like that, just to see where our algorithm goes, or if we should stay at noon, or at 9 o'clock, just as an experiment one. The other thing is that I'd love to know from you guys, again, in the chat now and in the comments for people that watch afterwards, is like, I know that listen, I have this like thing that I feel an unbelievable commitment for people that have been following me forever, that love to start their day. Obviously, we started taking Mondays off. That was, the first like thing. Deal. And it was huge for us, is Jay and I, to have that day, to not have to film and to have a day is you don't understand how hard we work. It's unbelievable amount of work that we do to do this daily.
Anyone that's been here will tell you.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's next level, and it's even more next level this last month since we've switched to this newer style of filming and storytelling. But ideally, I'd like to know, do we put out 5 vlogs like we've been doing and then 1 banger of a vlog a week? Or do we put out 3 banger videos a week and leave it at that, and not be daily, but be 3 videos a week, but those 3 videos be absolute like every Sunday video is now.
And that doesn't mean necessarily it's ever always a challenge, right? Like it could be whatever, but like the amount of time that's put into each video would be a lot more.
Yeah, exactly. If we go visit a collection, there's going to be more to that, filming, and more to that editing, and
the story
behind it. And I'd like to know from you guys what you think. I mean, I know that a lot of you guys are like, oh, I'd hate to not have you 6 days a week, just like when we went to 6 days a week from 7 days a week. But I wonder if it's better to do quality over quantity. And we're considering it. I'm not saying we're going to do it. I'm saying we're considering it, that, maybe quality is better than quantity. And you guys know that I'm always trying to evolve. I talk about this all the time. I'm trying to evolve at the Reptarium. I'm trying to evolve with VHB. I'm trying to evolve with the social media side of things. And this is, just to get you guys in my head, like I've talked about this before. So as I'm reiterating what I've said in the past, is that when we started Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, we were like the first or the very, very beginning of all of those, right? We were probably the first, we were like first or second on YouTube with reptiles. And we were certainly the first to do an edited show on reptiles. I think that Viper Keeper he was doing a couple like just home video type things on YouTube before me. Just literally like a month or two before I started. I think he was the very first person on YouTube. And then we were the second people, but we were doing an edited version. And that was the first thing. And we did that for a long time. Probably for a year or two, we were the only people on YouTube that were doing it, right? And then slowly, other people started doing it, and it became a little bit more common. And then we snake bites kind of settled into where it was at. And then we decided to vlog, and we were the first really reptile vloggers, and certainly the first daily reptile vloggers, because that was the next evolution of snake bites, right? It's going to daily vlogging. And then we are now, I think, in the next evolution, because now there are hundreds of channels that put out content that is a little bit like we do, you know what I mean? Maybe not exactly like we do or whatever. And I think that over the last month, we've stepped up our game where it's going to be hard for anyone to really achieve that level of editing and production and stuff like that. But they might do it.
Right.
There might be some young kid that has a lot of energy and super talented that might crush us and do even better than we do. But now I think to myself is do we continue going down this path, or do we try to start going into like uber quality with each and every vlog that we do, to take it to, again, a level that hasn't been taken to on YouTube?
Yeah. So it's not like, I mean, you could watch 30 people's different channels, and like, if we all go to Tiki's Geckos, we're filming the same thing.
Right, yeah, and it's all going to be
same video.
similar. Yeah, it's going to be very similar.
But like when we go, if that's all we did, I mean, even our video at Tiki's Geckos we did was so much more in depth than anyone usually would do, with coming, talking to Jessica and coming back and forth and all that stuff. Like no one's doing that.
Yeah, and it's just we've been talking a lot about these things, and I'd love to know your thoughts on it. And if you're okay with it, would you rather see 3 really super entertaining videos a week, or is it quality over quality, or is it quality over quantity? And I'd love to know your guys' opinions on that.
By the way, Savannah's in the chat, dude. Savannah's in the chat. We miss you already.
We do miss Savannah. I've said this publicly many times. She's one of my favorite people on the planet. It's
true.
And her
every minute without you is just terrible.
It is. I mean, there's just something very special about her in so many ways. I mean, she is a person that's manifested a life
and continues
to manifest a life. I mean, she is someone to look up to. She's someone to
if you're a guy or girl and you want to be somebody that respects himself, is powerful, whatever, that's your girl. Savannah is your fucking person.
And that's a great example, too. Even, women in reptiles are not as common, obviously. And crocodilian women are probably even more rare.
Yeah, few
and
far.
she took the bull by the horns and is becoming a force to be reckoned with in that world. So we love you, Savannah, and miss you a lot. And I might see you next in a week and a half.
You're going to see him.
Yeah,
there's zero chance Brian's not coming to Gatorland.
I'm probably going to come to Gatorland, say hi to you guys.
And
plus, I think I'm a Gatorland employee anyways, right?
Yeah, you got to probably show up to work.
Yeah, I probably got to show up
I think there's a reptile meeting.
Yeah.
There seems to always be a reptile meeting.
Yeah.
How much is there to talk about, man?
I don't
know.
Yeah, it's got to be something.
Let Rose Burn says she calls me Letro. Burn says one.
Letro Burn says one.
And yeah, I have her portrait of Blackwater. It was so cool to view the Reptarium through Savannah's eyes. That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's super cool.
And then Blue Salad says rainbow and mud snakes are so pretty. Love the red eyes on some of them. Do people ever keep them, or are they too aquatic?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that they eat amphiema is what they eat, which is a type of like a eel-y type of a thing, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's their primary diet. So they eat like amphibians, and they don't really eat, things. So I don't think most people keep them because of their diet, which becomes very, very difficult to upkeep.
And let me see. I think that might be all I got.
Yeah, did anyone commenting like just about the vlogs?
Yeah, I would say it's probably 75% say stay daily, but you got to remember this is like super tight knit people that want to see it, and then we have probably about 25% that said that they get burnt out by daily posting.
Yeah, it's a tough call, right? It's a tough call.
It is. It's just depends on like where you want to sit, right? Like if you want to, like if you're comfortable with where you're at right now, then let's do the same thing.
And
right?
let's just get something straight before we get any further, is that we would work just as hard producing 3 videos as we do producing 6 videos.
Right.
So it's not like we're taking a break.
There's no time. There's no difference. It's just
it's not.
It's just how much you guys will view it.
Yeah, it's like we wouldn't be like, hey, we just can't do 6 days a week anymore. We need to cut down. We would work as many hours producing 3 videos as we produce 6 videos.
Yep.
So
just
so
be a
this
different type.
Yeah,
of
this
working.
isn't really for us. This isn't for our happiness and our sanity. We're going to put the same amount of hours in, if maybe even more, producing that stuff. And it's just a question. It's a food for thought. It's something we're not making a decision immediately. But it's something that we definitely are going to have to keep an eye on in the future. And we'll see. I mean, listen, if you're not evolving, you're dying. And it's
the hard part.
And it's time to evolve because we're starting to die.
Yes.
We were starting to die. And we already have seen with this change, we're seeing that our life is growing again, right?
Yeah.
We've seen an increase in watch time. We've seen an increase in viewership. We've seen an increase in breakout videos. We've seen an increase in everything. So we know what we're doing is starting to work. Now the question is, what's the next step?
How far do we go?
Right. And we don't know yet. I want to hear from you guys, and we're a family. And listen, I would hate Monday morning when I'm not uploading a video. You know what I mean? I hate when 9 o'clock comes on Monday morning and I'm not commenting back to you guys.
Go live for 10 minutes, brother, on Instagram. They'll be fine.
I know. No, it is hard. It's a harder day for me because it's like I have that routine for so many. I mean, think about doing something every day for
3 years,
for 6 years, almost 6 years. And then all of a sudden, take away even one day of that, and it just feels weird, right? So listen, going down to 3, maybe even 4 days a week or something like that is a very difficult thing to think about. But at the same time, if it's the betterment of reaching more people and stuff like that, I think we have to at least consider it, And again, that's not saying we're going to do anything yet, but we're just
mulling it over.
The conversation's on the table.
Kelly says, I like the shorts on Mondays and love the new bangers too. Maybe you could have a specific day or two of the week where Jess shows us how to build out enclosures or about geckos, training with Bruce, etc.
So the problem with that is that that's still work, right?
Yeah.
Someone has to film and edit that.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. You know what I mean? It's not a matter of like we don't want to film and edit.
Yeah, we love that.
It's like
that's our life.
So if like we had Jessica build out. Number one, she's not going to build out an enclosure every Monday or Tuesday or something like that, 3 days a week. But because once you run out of enclosures, then what do you build out? But the bigger problem is someone has to film it, and someone has to edit it, and someone has to upload it, and someone has to do all the metadata and the thumbnail and the, you know what I mean.
And not only that, but when you're like, and maybe it's just that most people probably don't know. Like when you film something, I mean, you can only film what's there. You know what I mean? There's no extra stuff. You know what I mean? You can film some B-roll, put over.
And we film everything we can film. I mean, there's nothing happening in this world that we're not filming and making a piece of.
And making it the best it can be. But the rest comes out in editing, right?
Yeah,
the way that piece goes from, something that anyone can make to something that's like, oh my God, this is so crazy and in your face that I can't turn away.
Yeah.
Is from editing.
And what you have to understand is that, like, I mean, we love filming, we love editing, we love educating, we love all this type of stuff. But it's also a business, and we look at the numbers, and we look at the algorithms, and we look at, watch trends time and AVDs and RPMs and CPMs and all the things that you need to know when you're a YouTuber. And we're learning more and more about that every day that goes by. But what you have to remember is if you put out 3 killer videos a week and then 3 shit videos a week, you're basically killing your 3 good videos because your inconsistency in your production, right? And so I wish there was a way to go about it differently. but it's either all or nothing.
Yeah.
It's either like we're going to stick to 6 days a week, or we're going to go down to 3 days a week. There's no other things that we can do, unfortunately. Now that doesn't mean that hey, now 3 days a week I'm not filming.
Yeah.
Even though I'm still involved in pre-production and all this other stuff, it means that our videos can be better. Now, the 3 days a week I'm not filming, I could be putting into pre-production 2 to 3 days I am filming. Or we may film 2 days for one video as opposed to filming 1 day for one video.
Yep.
So the production be bigger, the amount be bigger. I mean, that's what
just gives you more wiggle room.
And so it's just, again, I'm just saying it's food for thought. I'm not saying either way. I'm just we're definitely considering a lot of things.
Slacks Family Adventure says, "Hey guys, whole fam is listening tonight. Love all of you. We love you too.
We love you too, Slacks."
Sherry Lynn
Slackers.
says,
we're gonna just call them Slackers.
Yeah, the Slackers, the Slacker group.
The Slacker groups.
Sherry Lynn said 3 days big. Other days by employees, Slothopus, which kind of cuts back to what you were saying.
Yeah, cuts back. I know, Sherry, you probably didn't. You wrote that before I went on my diatribe.
But what if you could always have something where listen. What we're trying to do is not only build this channel to be great, but to have a team of people in the future where we're working on everything, including the Reptarium channel, where maybe there's 2-3 videos a week on that channel.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. We may end up doing something like that, where there's 3 videos a week
that are more like the old school video or something.
Right.
And
that
then
don't need as much editing, doesn't need as much production, pre-production. So you may still get 6 videos just on 2 different channels.
And 2 different
But the
types.
3, like you were saying, maybe the other 3, they're not going to be by my employees, because obviously my employees don't know how to film. They don't know how to edit. They don't know how to upload. They don't know. They're not going to be able to produce videos. It's not as easy as people think it is, but that doesn't mean that we aren't, like Jay said, we might have a separate team that team is filming me and my crew on for the Reptarium channel. And you guys, some people may not even know there's a Reptarium channel on YouTube, but there is a Reptarium channel on YouTube. It was the old Steak Bites channel that now is morphed into the Reptarium channel.
The future's bright. It's just how we do the future.
Yeah, exactly.
And Let Rose Burn says, "I personally don't like YouTube Shorts, but I do enjoy all of your vlogs. I enjoy people who post every day, every other day, or even just once a week."
Well, good news. We stopped doing shorts.
So you don't have to see any of those anymore.
You don't have to see shorts anymore. And again, it's another thing that we've learned through analytics and working on it, is that shorts were actually hurting our algorithm on YouTube, on our main channel. So we still are posting shorts on the Reptarium channel for the time being, until we decide what to do with some longer form video on that side. But right now, the shorts are nixed on the main channel forever.
Let Rose Burn. Oh, sorry. Maria said, "I say do what makes you happy and what makes more business sense for the business. I'll watch everything. I have a feeling the 3 times a week will cause me to want to rewatch them anyway."
Well, and that's the question, right? Is that, like when you look at, we've all know, and Jay and I have talked, there are very few daily vloggers these days, right? Like, I mean, back in Casey Neistat era,
there was Logan, and
there was
Jake
Logan and Jake, and there was
everyone was actually doing it. Like Peter McKinnon did it for a bit, Matty Hapoya did it for a bit. You were doing it. Everybody,
but most of those guys have now fallen off to do 1 video a week, 2 video a week, 3 video a week, with some of them once a month. But when you look at, say, Paul Cafaro, Blake's Exotics, Camp Kennan, the list goes on and on. They're all, Chandler. They're once, Jacob Fetter. They're 1, 2, 3 day a week videos. They don't do 6, 7 days a week like we've done. And that's really the YouTube world. As a matter of fact, I watched a video with it was a podcast with MrBeast from 6-8 months ago. And he said, and he knows YouTube more than anybody. He said YouTube actually punishes the daily channels, that they actually are. It's actually a negative to post daily as opposed to posting 3 times or even once a week or whatever the case is. So the fact is that if you post 3 videos a week, like you had said, would you go and watch them 2 or 3 times because they're so good? You're like, wow, like me with the video I just said. I never watch my video more than once, and I've watched this video 3 times, because I enjoyed it so much.
And think we're still at a point where we're doing 6 days a week. Right. Imagine if it was where it's like, because you guys got to know, so say whether we film twice for 1 video or whatever, I'm also spending a whole nother day where I'm pretty much just editing.
Yeah, just editing.
Just editing. You know what I mean? Crushing out for 12 hours. So it's like, that's a lot of extra stuff that can get put in. And that just comes down to everything. I mean, putting text up on the screen like Noah was talking about today, putting the scientific name when you say it, right?
Yeah.
Just to see what it
something
says.
that we talked about. Like when I say, like, hey, this is a Porphyraceae coxi, people are like, what the fuck did you say?
Then you have
all
it
of a sudden
come
now
up.
you have that letters on the screen. But that letters takes minutes.
Yes.
It
and you
takes
do it 300 times in a video, and it's like, all right, that was 10 hours of work.
So, but we don't mean to complain. We love what we do.
Oh, it's not. I don't think it's complaining at all. It's just
we're just talking out loud to talk about what we've been talking about.
You guys are a family.
Private.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
LD says, do what's best for you. I know you guys work super hard, and I love all of your vlogs. I was sad when you stopped uploading Mondays, but do what pushes the vlog forward. Don't know why the views dropped.
Yeah, I mean, I think the views drop for a couple reasons. I think that, when you put out 2,000 videos, that things can get repetitive. I don't think that we were changing our style enough, so we started to get really repetitive.
Yeah, even when we thought we were, we
thought we were, but when we look back, we really weren't changing things. We were kind of just doing the same thing over and over again. And then, shorts did hurt our algorithm. That was the other thing, is that when, some channels shorts really help, but even the channels that typically thrive really well on the short side, typically the long form videos don't do well on those channels, because what ends up happening, not to get all nerdy on you here, but basically what happened was on July 21st of 2021, our first short video on my vlog channel went viral. Got like 13 million views in a couple days. That exact day, our long form video dropped 30%. The same exact day. Yep. And has never completely recovered. Now over the last month, we're starting to recover from the drop for the first time. And basically what we realized after seeing that data that I had never seen up until a couple weeks ago, is that because the short popped, YouTube recategorized my algorithm as a shorts channel, and started serving my content up to people that wanted to watch shorts. And I'm only posting one short a week, and I'm posting. So basically what happened was they're serving the same amount of people that they used to, but it's different people. And in particular, India is the big culprit here. So India basically has now become my number 1 or number 2 country to watch the vlog channel. But U.S. is the number 1 or number 2, depending on the month, right? So it's either India or U.S. are my number 1 and number 2, where it used to be U.S., Australia, Canada, the U.K. Were all my top 4 or 5, right? So now India has popped up. Now, when you look at the average view duration of watch time, U.S. being number 1 or number 2 is about 7 minutes per video, right? Yeah. So out of a 10 or 12-minute video, about 7 minutes on average people will watch. On average, some people watch all 12, some people watch 3 minutes. It averages out 7 minutes. When you look at India, the average watch time is 21 seconds. Yeah. 21 seconds. So you can imagine if half of the people that are being served my videos now are only want to watch 21 seconds.
Even if the other half's watching the whole video, we're down to 2 minutes.
Now that's how you drop. So now what we had to do is stop doing shorts, recategorize the algorithm to start serving us back to the people that want to watch long form video and not 21 seconds of our videos. So anyways, I know we're talking a lot of YouTube tonight, and I apologize for that, but it is something we're real passionate about.
It's our family. That's why they don't mind, I'm sure. Yeah. Timothy says, are you planning on reviving the Snake Bites channel?
Yeah, so the Snake Bites channel is actually now the Reptarium channel. So if you search Snake Bites, it still comes up as Snake Bites, but it's actually, if you look at it, it's actually the Reptarium channel. Right now we've been doing shorts on it, but yes, we want to revive that channel to long form. And that's what we were talking about earlier, is we might do 3 banger videos with Jay and Noah editing on this channel. We may bring a separate group of people that are I'm filming and my crew is filming, but we're actually putting not as much edits and craziness into that channel, but we're still putting content out 2, 3, 4 days a week out over there. So yeah, definitely planning on doing that.
Rachel says maybe 2 short videos, 1 longer one. Jay isn't wrong. I think most of us diehards would be happy with a 7-second live good morning, be kind to somebody.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that. I
think it's a great idea, actually.
So lives on YouTube are.
I think do it on IG.
You can't do it on YouTube, yeah, because if I did a live on my main channel, it would destroy my watch.
No,
time.
I would say do it on IG and push people to IG.
You could definitely do IG, 100%.
I think that is a great idea, actually. Roberta says, you do you, whatever works for you guys.
I appreciate you. And again, hey, listen, we're all in this together.
That's
so
right.
We appreciate you all.
Becky says, I personally love your daily vlogs. I take a late break at work purposely every day to watch. However, I will follow you faithfully always.
And I appreciate that. And listen, I don't take that lightly.
That's right.
I really don't take that lightly. You guys don't understand how much that means to me, that you guys do that for me. And so for me to, I don't want just what's good for me. I want
we
what's
wouldn't
good
do it
for
if it was
everybody.
just for us.
I want it good for everybody. And sometimes you have to look at a bigger picture. And listen, if it was just me and I was vlogging like I did back 5 years ago, I'd be 7 days a week. You know what I mean? If I could film and edit my vlog and still run my life just as a one-man team, I'd be happy to do that. But that's not the reality. That's not where we are in YouTube these days. Things have changed, and we have to do. And my life has changed. I could never edit videos again because I'm too busy.
I don't even know how you did.
I don't know how I did it before. I was waking up at 6 a.m. and editing.
Still.
Before the vlog even came out. So my goal was always to finish my edit before I launched yesterday's vlog. The vlog I filmed.
So you pretty much had, because you get up at 6, right? So you probably started at 6:30, right?
Oh no, I started at 6:05. I mean, I got up and literally had my laptop in my bed.
And so you had 2 hours and change.
About 3 hours I would have to edit the vlog, and that was what I tried to do. Sometimes I would have to launch the vlog and finish the vlog after.
Right.
Sometimes I was done in time. So
depending on the content.
But I wasn't editing like Jay and Noah do.
Of course, yeah.
So I could do it in 2.5, 3 hours. But these guys spend a lot more time.
Blue salad has now become blue meatball because it says carnivore diet works. I've lost 24 pounds in 3.5 weeks.
Wow.
Well, good for you.
24 pounds in 3.5 weeks. That's crazy. So I think that carnivore diet is interesting because not only do people lose weight, but they also, people with skin problems, in particular eczema, really have tremendous results from carnivore diet. Now, but the reality is, probably in all honesty, is that you're losing weight on the carnivore diet because you're not eating other things besides meat and carnivorous things, right?
You're only eating protein and
so
fat.
you're only eating protein and fat. So you're not, you basically cut out carbs, sugars, stuff like that.
Which is why you're losing weight.
And that's why you're losing weight. It's not that the meat part is making you lose weight.
You're just paying attention to what you eat.
Yeah, you're paying attention and you've cut out some bad stuff. If you were moderating, if you were moderating all the other stuff, you'd probably lose weight too. That being said, I've read some things about the carnivore diet that are pretty intriguing. Like I said, in particular issues, and there has been a lot of research done on the fact that if you're on the carnivore diet for 30 days, skin issues, in particular with eczema, seem to clear up. Which I find very interesting.
Very interesting.
So I'm thinking that the eczema is probably being caused by carbs and sugars. And so if you just cut out carbs and sugars, you probably have the same results as well.
Kelly says, for sure, things a viewer doesn't understand for sure. You have to do what feels right for you. I would love having 3 great videos, especially when you add the 2 podcasts, TikToks, Instagram, etc.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We're
daily regardless.
Yeah, we're going to be putting out multiple daily content. As a matter of fact, we're working on bringing on someone else to the production team that would work harder on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and stuff like that. So we'd actually probably putting out more content on the other platforms as we might cut back on the YouTube platform if we do that. And again, it's like you said, as a viewer, you don't know what goes into it. And we can't expect you to know what goes into it. Yeah. I mean, it's
science.
It's daunting how much work it is to do what we do.
You seen the notes in our phones, man?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Notes and just constantly going back and forth on things, and it's but we love it. I mean, listen, I wouldn't have done this for 2,000 videos if I didn't love what I do.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
I've been with you now for half of it.
Yeah,
so.
You've been with me for 1,000 of them, and I did 1,000 before, and
we wouldn't do this if we didn't love it.
Yeah,
to death.
There's no amount of money, exposure, business could possibly make you want to do what we go through on a daily basis.
You know how long we talk about thumbnails, man?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Now our thumbnails even, sometimes we're spending an hour or two on thumbnails a day.
Yeah.
Which is something that we never used to do. Thumbnails were almost like an afterthought before. Now they're super high. Yeah, they're super high on our thing. And sometimes they don't work and we have to change them. And sometimes we work a long time to produce a thumbnail and it just doesn't
work.
Did I tell you yesterday our click-through rate was almost 10%?
Dude, no way.
Yeah, almost 10% yesterday, which is super high.
That was the surprise chameleon one?
The anaconda.
No way,
yeah,
really? That was a good thumbnail.
Yeah, it was a good thumbnail. Yeah.
That's how we talk, guys. You just welcome.
Yeah, exactly. I know you guys are like, I don't give a shit.
No, they do, though.
No, I hope you guys do. I mean, obviously, I'm a reptile guy. And you got to remember that. So this is the thing. All the money and anything I make on social, all that does for me is give me the opportunity to put more into what we do and more into the expansion and more into education. You guys know, I mean, anyone that knows me knows that money isn't what motivates me. It's not what gets me out of bed in the morning. I don't drive a fancy car. I don't drive I don't walk around with fancy things. I don't spend money. I mean, like when I spend money on myself, I feel so guilty. It's not even funny.
Right.
Because I feel like every dollar I spend on myself, I should be putting into the animals.
Yeah.
So like we're trying to be as successful as we can on all platforms so that we can have enough revenue so that we can do these amazing visions that we have with the aquarium and the experiences with the aquarium, expansion of the Reptarium, the dig site, potentially eventually having a penguin center. We want people to love reptiles, but all animals, and we get to educate them. And like I said, you guys don't see it like we see it because like we see like what's happening upstairs right now.
Yeah.
And the kids that are coming in that are just like losing their mind on a daily basis. And that to me, I mean, there's something that's called guerrilla marketing, right? And that means that you literally take one person at a time and you turn them into what you basically convince them to love what you love.
Yeah.
One person at a time, guerrilla marketing. And that's basically what we do here at the Reptarium is we want people. And right now we're in a position where we're sold out every single day. Every day we're open, we're sold out. Right now we're booking birthday parties into May because, I mean, you can't even get a birthday party in March or April right now at the Reptarium. You can't get it. It's sold out, 100% sold out for birthday parties. So I want to have 3 birthday party rooms so we can triple our birthday parties, not to make money, but so that we can continue to educate.
Get that guerrilla marketing.
You know, and it bums me out when I hear my office go, I'm sorry, we just don't have any birthday slots until then. I know your birthday is 3 weeks from now and you can't put your birthday off 7 weeks, but you know, it's like that's what motivates me to do the best I can do on social media, the best I can do on all these things, and that's, people that know my heart, and Jay knows my heart for sure, knows that that's why I do the things I do, and that's why I go things. The people that don't know my heart, they go, I don't care about you. You know what I mean?
But the people in your life.
The people that are like, I mean, you can go one of two ways. When you start to make money and you become successful in business and maybe, grow a following, you can become greedy and you can become egotistical. Or you can go the other way and become humble and become giving,
gracious,
and gracious. And I know I'm the latter.
Oh, dude, for sure. And I mean, like, even just the simple things of like, like when a tour comes in or a birthday party and they finally sit down with the animals. Like, there's no chance Brian's not sitting there for 20 minutes just staring at people loving animals. It's hysterical.
It's like all the time.
I'm like, Brian, let's go. And he's just like, just like,
I know, and it's like an instant smile. You know what I mean? It's like you see these kids and it's just amazing. And like last night, I wasn't supposed to work all night because, I was going to go pick up Noah from the airport and I had some other things to do. And I literally, I stayed here till the last minute before. I didn't even go home. I was supposed to go home and let the dogs out, feed the dogs and stuff like that. I didn't even get a chance to go home. I literally stayed here till the moment I had to leave because it was so much fun, and I split right to the airport. And I didn't have to. I didn't have to work last night. But it was like it's just special. And you guys know that I've dealt with anxiety and stuff like that. Now that my anxiety most of the time is much better, now I can enjoy those moments. Whereas before I didn't enjoy them because I was so anxious around people. So now it's even more special to me to be able to look at the kids and look at the people there and walk around and see the smiles and see the conversion.
it's all
If you
about.
guys saw that, you would understand why we do what we
Yeah.
do. It's pretty special.
It's very special. And LD Music says, we do love the nerdy YouTube talk, Brian, LOL.
It is. It's listen.
We love it. We really do.
I'm super passionate about animals, and I'm super passionate about YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like really uber passionate. And it's been an interesting thing. Like we're learning things about YouTube and learning things about becoming a YouTuber that I never thought I would ever learn. Like I realized how little I knew even a month ago or 2 months ago.
Literally.
And I think of, that I'm really still in my infancy of learning what it is really all about. You know what I mean? And it's like Jay said earlier, the one thing that we realize that is really shocking is that YouTube is a science.
Yeah.
It's a systematic, predictable algorithm.
Yeah.
You just have to understand how to work it.
And how does your niche fit into it?
And it's a very complicated thing, but it's very predictable, and if you can do something a certain way, you will succeed on that
and
platform.
sometimes it's taking a step back, because sometimes you're almost like too close to the forest to see the trees,
right,
and you're like, damn, I thought this would have done so good. Why didn't it do good? Then you like look back 3 weeks later and you're like, oh, that thumbnail sucks.
Yeah.
That title's dumb, or like the content was too slow. We should have done this here, Yeah.
And then that's the thing. It's a learning curve, and we're trying to get as good at it as we can possibly get at it. And like I said, the MrBeast has been like really life-changing, seeing those people, how they work, how they approach themselves, how they do everything.
Why they do it.
Why they do everything, single thing. And it's something that, you can watch them, which is great. I mean, I encourage people to watch that type of content. Listen, you want to learn at the feet of the best.
Yeah.
You don't want to go to I'm not going to learn my craft from someone that isn't doing well. I always think it's funny, like when like somebody is like a social media guru, and then you go and you look up on Instagram and they got 5,000 followers, and you're like, wait a second, you want to charge me thousands of dollars to help me, and I've got 700K and you've got 5K? Like I should be helping you. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's but now with the Beast Crew, this is the best, the biggest and best.
They're doing
the
the damn
world.
thing,
and it's like, so to learn what they do, and they've been very helpful, with things, and so it's really changed the way that we look at things. And we don't want to be MrBeast, because, listen, there's, we've talked a lot about the fact that we have that MrBeast maybe feel now, but at the same time still keep the education in it.
Yeah, because that's the most important. Yeah.
And so we don't want to just go away and do challenges all day and throw away all the education. It's like we can do a challenge and educate at the same time.
Yeah, I think the challenge is to keep people that don't care about the education, and you're using the education or using the challenge to distract people to get educated.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And we already know you guys that are watching me right now will watch, because
you'll listen to us for 2 hours talk about pretty much whatever.
Yeah, and we appreciate you guys for that. But now how do we keep you guys happy and bring in a whole new flock of people that will eventually be you?
Exactly.
Be the people
this
that
room will
listen
have
to
600 people in it talking that all love each other.
Instead of 240, we'll have 700 or 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000.
We're happy with 10, but it's we just always want to keep growing,
Yeah, we want to keep growing because we're changing people's minds.
Exactly.
That's what the deal is. Not growing for our benefit, but growing for the cause's benefit. And I'm so laser focused on it. It's like almost
obsessive. It's the same with me too. I agree.
I'm obsessed with it.
It's all I think about all day.
Yeah, and it's like, so.
But I love it.
But we appreciate. Without you guys, we couldn't even be where we're at. So we appreciate you.
Let Rose Burn says, an art and craft YouTuber I watch says that sometimes to make a 17-minute video takes almost a week.
Yep.
She does her own edit and filming, so we appreciate you.
Well, and that's the thing, it really does. People don't realize how much it goes into, one video.
And even our normal videos, most people, because, obviously we've visited a lot of people that watch our stuff, and they're like, to make a video like a video we would make 2 months ago, they'd like, oh, that would take me a week or something. We were doing that overnight.
Yeah, overnight.
Every night.
Every night, yeah. And,
it's insane.
And now it's like, even with Savannah and stuff like that, she saw how different we film compared to
she loves it too.
Yeah, because we filmed with her for many times. I filmed with her, and now she sees the new style, and it's like, wow, it's just such a radical difference of the way we approach how we go about things. But But in the end, it's, again, just reaching people with the message of love and of the animals and inspiration to follow your dreams and mental health and everything else that goes along with it,
And that's all I got, Mr. Brian.
Well, listen, I think it's been a good night. We've talked a lot of YouTube. We've talked a lot of other things. I've appreciated you guys hanging out with me tonight. I appreciate everyone in the Super Chats. You guys got absolutely killed it tonight. Thank you so much for everything. I appreciate you guys. We will be here this Wednesday. The following Wednesday, I won't be here. So Wednesday and Saturday, I'll see you guys on the podcast. Please do me a favor and check out tomorrow's vlog. I think you guys are really going to love it. It's one of my favorite ones that we've ever done. But I say this every weekend when we get to the Sunday. It's like it's one of my favorite. I mean, these guys are crushing it on the edit side. So please do me a favor. Share it. Look at it. Watch it multiple times.
Show a couple friends.
And let's get this ball rolling. And we'll keep you posted as it goes from there. So love you guys, and we will see you soon.